Chapter 2875. The pupils of the 10 saints constricted. The humans were also stunned. Lin Xian had actually blocked the attack of an extreme-grade weapon. It was too unbelievable. He definitely had a divine body at the greater success stage. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to block it. The sacred leaders and sect masters exclaimed. The saints of the human race had solemn expressions. It was just an aura just now. Although they had blocked it, they were not happy. This was because the true power of the 10,000 dragons portrait was definitely not limited to this. The 10 saints' expressions were gloomy. He blocked it. This guy was too powerful. If they used it again, they had to shatter his body. They definitely could not let such a body survive in the human world. The other party's body was too terrifying. It was like an indestructible god of war. It made them suspect that the other party had a divine body at the greater success stage. If such a divine body was left alive, it would be a huge threat to the 10,000 ancient races. Therefore, they wanted to use the power of the 10,000 dragons portrait to completely destroy the other party's body. So what if he had a divine body at the greater success stage? In front of an extreme-grade weapon, everything would be reduced to ashes. Let's do it and kill him. The saint of the nest of 10,000 dragons said in a deep voice. At the same time, he told them to control their power and not to activate other extreme-grade weapons. Understood. Behind him, the other primordial saints nodded. In the next moment, they formed hand seals, and the laws on their bodies flew into the 10,000 dragons portrait. The 10,000 dragons portrait was completely revived. Endless dragon roars rang out, and the entire world trembled. The sky was filled with resplendent light, as if millions of stars were dancing in the sky. Brr, brr, brr. 10,000 dragons roared, shaking the entire world. At this moment, all the living beings prostrated themselves on the ground. Lin Xian also roared angrily. An extremely terrifying power erupted from his body, connecting to the 9 heavens and 10 earths. His body was incomparably resplendent, and mysterious laws surrounded him to resist the emperor's might of the extreme-grade weapon. How terrifying. His aura was still rising. Could it be that he had not used his full strength before? The saints of the human race were extremely shocked. On the other side, the 10,000 ancient races were also terrified. The other party's aura was too terrifying. It surpassed that of an ordinary saint and could even contend with an extreme-grade weapon. Was this the divine body at the greater success stage? It was indeed terrifying. The saints of the Yi family were also shocked. Their family once had a saint body at the great accomplishment level. That was enough to shock the heavens and make ghosts and gods weep. Thinking about it, a divine body at the great accomplishment level should be similar. Boom, boom. In the sky, Tao patterns filled the air. The aura of the 10,000 dragons picture hung down and pierced through the void. However, at this moment Lin Xian was simply too powerful. It was as if the 9 Sun Sword Saint had been reborn. With a stomp of his foot, the entire world trembled. The laws of the 9 heavens and 10 earths danced in the air. The aura of the myriad dragons diagram was actually unable to harm him. Beside him, the 9 young divine flames were obliterated. Within Lin Xian's body, a similar dragon roar resounded. It was the voice of the great dragon sword soul. At this moment he was like a great emperor, and all kinds of strange scenes appeared around him. The human sect masters and the saints were shocked. In the distance, the 10,000 ancient races experts felt their scalps go numb. What's going on? Could it be that a great emperor had come back to life? Despair. This caused them to feel a sense of despair. If it weren't for the myriad dragons portrait, they wouldn't have stood a chance at all. The human race actually had such a great powerhouse. Even the 10 primordial saints who had cast the spell gasped. Buzz. Lin Xian opened his eyes. His golden eyes emitted a terrifying aura. The sword chi on his body swept through the 9 heavens as if it was splitting the world apart. The world trembled as all the energy was blocked by him. A terrifying sword intent soared into the sky as if an immortal sword was about to descend. In an instant, it swept out in all directions. At this moment all the living beings sensed it. The beasts prostrated, and the humans also trembled as they raised their heads. What happened? What a terrifying aura. Could it be that a great emperor had come back to life? Some of the older generation experts screamed. Not only Eastern Wilderness but Middle Ground, Western Desert, and the entire True Spirit world sensed it. This aura was simply too powerful. It was as if a great emperor had come back to life. How terrifying. Which great powerhouse had come back to life? The human cultivators were incomparably excited. The beings of the 10,000 ancient races prostrated themselves on the ground. Damn it, There was actually someone who could contend against the myriad dragons diagram. How was this possible? The expressions of the elders of the nest of 10,000 dragons, Divine Phoenix Ridge, Fire Chelan Cave, and the other ancient royal families also changed drastically. Their gazes were like rainbows that pierced through the 9 heavens. They wanted to see who it was. I am Lin Xian of the Central Emperor. I will suppress everything and quell the chaos. His majestic voice resounded throughout the world. At this moment, everyone's scalps exploded. Lin Xian, it was actually Lin Xian. Heavens, this was impossible. Wasn't he a prodigy of the younger generation? How could he contend against an extreme weapon? Damn it, there must be a shocking change. Hurry up and investigate. Exclamations sounded one after another. The human cultivators were extremely surprised. They all set up array formations wanting to observe from afar. On the other side, the 10,000 ancient races were frantically searching. All kinds of lights flickered between heaven and earth. All eyes were focused on the jade pool. Was that golden figure really Lin Xian? Through the array formation, they saw a golden figure in the distance under the myriad dragons diagram. He stood there like a peerless god of war. Under his feet, countless living beings submitted, and above his head was a terrifying extreme weapon, the myriad dragons diagram. At this moment, the other party was fearless under the myriad dragons diagram's emperor's might. Damn it, impossible. How could that kid emit such a terrifying power? He had already surpassed a sage. The powerhouses of the 10,000 ancient races were shocked. Especially the elders of the ancient royal family. Their faces were filled with shock. 9 Yang divine body, greater mastery 9 Yang divine body. Not good, we must kill him. These ancient royal family elders were experienced and knowledgeable. They recognized at a glance that it was the legendary 9 Yang divine body. Moreover, it had been cultivated to an extremely terrifying level. Kid, you're too arrogant. Do you think you can resist us? Although we can't fully activate the myriad dragons diagram, just a trace of its power is enough to kill you. The saint of the nest of 10,000 dragons snorted coldly. He controlled the myriad dragons diagram, and strands of peerless killing intent descended. Terrifying emperors might spread in all directions. The 9 heavens and 10 earths collapsed at this moment. Today, I want to see just how powerful the legendary extreme Dao weapon is. Lin Xian let out a long roar and stretched out his palm. It was like a giant hand that covered the sky as it grabbed forward. He was going to take the imperial weapon with his bare hands. Boom. The golden palm collided with the myriad dragons diagram, and the aura that hung down let out a shocking sound. At this moment, the terrifying existences that were sleeping in the 10,000 ancient races were all awakened. They opened their eyes and their auras erupted. Wisps of divine red pierced through heaven and earth. They wanted to see this battle clearly. Chapter 2876. Boom, boom, boom. The extreme weapons of the Yi family, the Gu family, and the Jade Pool trembled again as if they were about to awaken. There was nothing he could do about it. This attack was simply too terrifying. Countless living beings bowed in the direction of the Jade Pool. At this moment they felt their bodies stiffen and they couldn't move at all. The blood in their bodies froze, and their souls felt like they were about to explode. Dazzling light flashed as Lin Xian retreated, breaking through the void. He only stopped after retreating hundreds of thousands of miles. Was he pushed back? The sages on the human side exclaimed and hurriedly looked over. The Yi family head, Queen Mother of the West, and a few other top sacred lords also looked forward. On the other side, the sages of the primeval race and the top primeval kings were also watching with rapt attention. That kid should have been beaten up, right? That's for sure. He dared to fight against an extreme weapon. He must be courting death. Just wait, he will definitely destroy the divine relic. The primeval saints sneered. They were very confident in their extreme weapons, even though they had only used a little of their power. However, no one was able to resist it. But in the next moment, their eyes almost popped out. That was because the aura of the golden figure in front of them didn't weaken, and the light didn't disappear. In fact, not even a drop of blood flowed out. Damn it, he's not injured. How is this possible? The primeval saints were dumbfounded, and the primeval kings were about to faint from fright. At this moment, the experts who were watching the Jade Pool were all stunned. Someone had actually blocked an extreme weapon with his bare hands. And he wasn't injured. He really blocked an imperial weapon with his bare hands. The sages on the human side were also shocked. The Queen Mother of the West, Yi family head, and the others were even more shocked. Yi Wudao, Gu Santong, and the others were all stunned. In myths and legends, such a situation would only appear in the records of the primeval emperors. They didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to do it. The greater mastery of the 9 yang divine body? Yi Wudao clenched his fists. He had to cultivate a greater mastery sacred body. Then, he might be able to block an imperial weapon with his bare hands. He had to reach the peak of the martial Dao. At this moment, Yi Wudao's battle intent surged. The other young geniuses were the same. With a flicker, Lin Xian arrived in front of Qin Nan from a few 100,000 li away. His eyes were bright, and the sword qi on his body hummed as he looked at the 10 figures in the sky. Was this the power of an imperial armament? That was all there was to it. Today I'll take this myriad dragon's portrait with my bare hands. Lin Xian's voice reverberated throughout the 8 desolates, causing the human martial artist's blood to boil. The archaic creatures on the other hand were all horrified. Catching a monarch weapon barehandedly, just how bold were these words? Furthermore, he had really done it. Shouldn't the human race be exterminated? Kill him, I must kill him. On the other hand, the primeval saints were filled with killing intent. The other party was too terrifying. Although it wasn't a true resurrection of a great success divine body, it was still controlled by Lin Xian, and it had unparalleled divine might. If such a thing existed, it would be a great threat to them. They had to kill it. Once again he increased the power of the myriad dragons diagram. The sage of the nest of 10,000 dragons roared angrily. The other sages also had cold expressions on their faces. At this moment, the power of the myriad dragons portrait erupted once again. Terrifying emperors might filled the air, reaching the 9 heavens and 10 earths. All the living beings in the entire world submitted. Great Tao fell from the sky like a waterfall, hanging upside down in the 9 heavens. Not good, the myriad dragon's portrait is about to erupt again. The human sages were terrified. The extreme Tao weapon was too powerful. That attack just now was just a casual attack, and it didn't activate the true power of the myriad dragon's portrait. Otherwise, the entire eastern wasteland would sink under the full-strength attack of the extreme Tao weapon. Was it that terrifying? Wouldn't Brother Xian be in danger? Murong Qingqing, Shinjingqiu, and the others were extremely nervous when they heard this. Don't worry, they wouldn't do that. Firstly, the extreme Tao weapon was the weapon of a great emperor. No matter how powerful a sage was, he couldn't fully activate it. It was already heaven-defying to be able to unleash a portion of its power. Moreover, they didn't dare to use the extreme Tao weapon too much because that kind of emperor's might would trigger the other extreme Tao weapons to awaken. As long as it exceeded a certain level of power, the West Emperor Tower would awaken. At that time, the Celestial Emperor Cauldron, the Void Mirror, and other extreme Tao weapons would also awaken. As for the human race, we would completely activate our foundation. This was probably something that the 10,000 ancient races didn't want to see. Hearing this, Murong Qingqing, Shinjingqiu, and the others heaved a sigh of relief. However, they were still extremely nervous. This was because a wisp of the myriad dragon's portrait's aura could kill a sage. It was already very heaven-defying for Lin Xian to be able to fight bare-handed. Kill. Lin Xian held a golden battle sword in his hand and charged into the 9 heavens. He took the initiative to fight with the myriad dragon's portrait. He was courting death. The 10 sages roared and activated the myriad dragon's portrait again, launching a powerful attack. In an instant, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Everything turned into chaos. No one could see this battle clearly. However, everyone could feel an extremely terrifying energy surging between heaven and earth. It was as if it was going to destroy the entire world. Boom, 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 boom. 18 sounds of destruction rang out in a row. The entire world was enveloped by a resplendent light. Everyone couldn't open their eyes. Those sages wanted to forcefully watch the battle, but in the next moment they screamed miserably. Their eyes bled and they rolled on the ground in pain. It was too terrifying. Even the sages couldn't watch it. Humph, an extreme Tao weapon is powerful, but it's not something ants like you can use. If you want to kill me, revive your ancient emperor. Lin Xian's voice sounded between heaven and earth. At the same time, an angry roar sounded. Damn it, I'm going to kill you. You've gone too far. These were the voices of the ancient sages. Although the crowd couldn't see the battle situation, just hearing the voices was enough to scare them out of their wits. What's going on? Could it be that Lin Xian has the upper hand? Heavens, the 10 great sages' extreme Tao weapons are actually unable to do anything to him? This is too unbelievable. Roar. Boom. Another earth-shattering sound erupted, followed by countless screams. The sky was blood-red and a rain of blood fell from the sky. A saint had been blown apart. Ah! Screams rang out one after another, causing one's scalp to go numb. After a few screams, the light in the sky quickly retreated like the tide. How's the battle going? Seeing that the light was no longer so resplendent, all the sages looked in the direction of the jade pool again. In the next moment they were scared out of their wits. These sages were extremely terrifying existences in the world, but at this moment they were dumbfounded. In the void, the myriad dragon's portrait emitted a resplendent light, and a golden figure stood between heaven and earth. The auras of the two collided, tearing apart countless cracks. As for the ancient sages, they were in a miserable state. Blood stained the void and their bodies were shattered. Although they weren't killed, they were in an extremely sorry state. Defeated, the 10,000 ancient races were actually defeated. Chapter 2877. This was too unbelievable. This was probably a major event that would shock the entire world. Everyone was horrified. The 10,000 ancient races shrieked in disbelief. The humans were extremely excited. Great Lin Xian actually caught an apex weapon with his bare hands. This kid was too heaven-defying. Cheers sounded one after another, and hope was restored in their eyes. An apex weapon? It was indeed powerful. However, you can't hurt me with just your strength. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous. Hurry up and get lost, or I'll slaughter your entire ancient army. Lin Xian's body emitted a biting cold killing intent that surged forward. This caused countless archaic creatures to tremble in fear. Even the archaic kings were filled with despair. Under the other party's power, they had no way of resisting at all. The ancient sages were so angry that they vomited blood. Their bodies reassembled, but their expressions were incomparably ugly. To be honest, their minds were still blank because they could not accept that someone could catch an apex weapon with his bare hands. What kind of magnificent feat was this? Perhaps only the ancient emperors could do it. However, how heaven-defying was such a person? It could be said that one wouldn't appear for tens of thousands of years. Could it be that this kid really had the might of an ancient emperor? Dear heavens, if the other party was allowed to continue growing, the 10,000 ancient races would truly be finished if another emperor lord was born. Why were they still not convinced? Lin Xian snorted coldly, and a 9-sun sword flew out, instantly splitting one of the sages of the nest of 10,000 dragons apart. That sage screamed and retreated in fear. The other sages also trembled and contacted the 10,000 dragons diagram for protection. Damn it, kill him. We must kill him. We must activate the 10,000 dragons diagram at all costs and launch a shocking attack. Even if we have to sink the entire eastern wilderness, we must kill him. The sages of the nest of 10,000 dragons roared. The other party was actually suppressing them so powerfully. This was intolerable. The other sages' eyes were also bloodshot. Come on, I'm not afraid of you. If you have the ability, then sublimate to the extreme. Let's fight to the death. Lin Xian took a step forward and his aura erupted. He was like an ancient great emperor, suppressing the 8 desolates, causing the 10,000 ancient races to tremble. If he used the 10,000 dragons diagram at full power, he might not be able to withstand it. However, he was not afraid because he knew that there were several extreme weapons in the eastern wilderness. As long as the other party wanted to sink the eastern wasteland regardless of the cost, the few extreme weapons of the human race would be revived. At that time, the human race would be able to activate their foundation. Don't act rashly. The saints of Divine Phoenix Ridge and Fire Qilin Cave also tried to persuade him. The saints of the nest of 10,000 dragons gritted their teeth. He said, why don't you take out your Divine Phoenix Ridge's Extreme Dao weapon as well as your Fire Qilin Cave's Extreme Dao weapon? With our 3 Extreme Dao Monarch weapons attacking, I don't believe we can't kill him. Upon hearing this, the human experts were extremely shocked. Were they going to use 3 extreme weapons? Perhaps no one would be able to resist it. No, the Western Yellow Pagoda would probably automatically awaken once the 2 extreme-grade weapons appeared. The Saint of the Divine Phoenix Ridge still shook his head. They had too many concerns. Damn it, the humans in the past were just like that. They could easily crush them to death. But now, they wanted to attack the humans, but they actually had so many concerns. They didn't even dare to go all out. Thinking about it, they felt really aggrieved. Lin Xian sneered. What? You don't dare to make a move? If that's the case, take your people and scram. Scram back to your nest. If you dare to take another step into the human city, I'll directly kill you. Lin Xian was incomparably domineering. He didn't back down at all. He was now the guardian of the human race. He had to use a strong stance to repel the 10,000 ancient races in order to ensure the safety of the human race. Bus, kid, you're too arrogant. On the Jade Lake side, the 10 primordial saints didn't say anything. However, a cold and dignified voice sounded from extremely far away. Immediately after, the sky was torn apart and the great Tao descended. A figure soared into the sky. A terrifying aura suppressed the surroundings. A saint, another saint had awakened. Sensing the extremely powerful saint might and laws in the sky, everyone exclaimed. Needless to say, this was a saint of the 10,000 ancient races. Whoosh whoosh. After the first saint, a few more figures soared into the sky and quickly flew towards the Jade Lake. Soon 7 or 8 figures descended. Each of their auras was powerful. They were even more terrifying than the primordial saints from before. The human cultivators in the Jade Lake were terrified. Lin Xian also frowned. The situation wasn't good. It seemed that the 10,000 ancient races were using their trump cards again. Indeed, Lin Xian discovered that the 8 figures that came this time were very strange. Their bodies still existed in the deity crystals. In other words, these 8 saints hadn't come out of the deity crystals. However, the auras on their bodies were incomparably terrifying. Their gazes were extremely cold. They were like divine swords that emitted such terrifying power without coming out. Once they came out, they would definitely be able to sweep through everything. Needless to say, these people were extremely terrifying existences. In the saint realm, they were extremely terrifying. As expected, facing the 8 saints in the deity crystals, the 10 primordial saints quickly bowed. Seeing this scene, everyone was even more terrified. These 8 were definitely extremely terrifying patriarchs. Kid, do you really think you can contend against the primordial race? Today we'll let you know the true power of an extreme weapon. The 8 patriarchs snorted coldly. Their auras also erupted. This time the 10,000 dragons picture spun once again. A terrifying emperor's aura filled the entire world. Not good. The human cultivators had originally seen hope, but now they were in despair. The 10,000 ancient races trump cards were simply too powerful. Lin Xian also frowned. Just now, he had used too much of the 9 Sun Sword Saint's soul to receive the Emperor's weapon with his bare hands. Now the 9 Sun Sword Saint's soul was extremely weak. Would he be able to withstand this attack? He didn't know, but no matter what, he had to resist. What, do you think the human race doesn't have anyone? Just as Lin Xian was about to fight to the death, a voice also came from the distant sky. The sky flickered with golden light, quickly covering the entire sky. The 10,000 dragons picture shook, and a terrifying dragon aura surged. It turned into a huge dragon that danced, resisting the golden light. In an instant, the 2 sides were evenly matched. What's going on? Is this kid playing tricks? They stared at Lin Xian, but Lin Xian also had a look of surprise. What a terrifying aura. Could it be that the human race's extreme weapon had awakened? The primordial saints and the 8 primordial patriarchs all had ugly expressions. If that was really the case, then things would be terrible. The Jade Lake Sacred Ground, the Queen Mother of the West, the Yi family patriarch, and the other saints were also puzzled. What a terrifying aura. It wasn't weaker than an extreme weapon. Chapter 2878. The Celestial Emperor Cauldron? The Void Mirror? Or the Dragon Wending Cauldron? But that wasn't it. They sensed that it wasn't an extreme weapon they were familiar with. Could it be that there was an unknown extreme weapon in the world? Everyone cried out in alarm. The human race had regained hope. Lin Xian also turned his head to look into the distance because he heard the 9 Sun Sword Saints say, "It's here. It's finally here." What was it? Lin Xian didn't know. Could it be that the foundation of the human race had appeared? He remembered that the 9 Sun Sword Saint had said that the foundation of the human race was beyond the imagination of the 10,000 ancient races. Perhaps that unknown foundation had appeared now. Golden light covered the sky. The 9 heavens and 10 earths also urged the aura of the great emperor to resist the 10,000 dragon diagram. From within the golden light, a figure descended. Lin Xian's eyes widened in disbelief when he saw this figure. The human race cultivators were also puzzled. Who was this person? Was this old man unfamiliar? They had never seen him before. However, Li Xuanxian and the others cried out in alarm. "Greetings, old palace master." What? Could it be that he was the previous palace master of Immortal Palace? Heavens, the palace master of Immortal Palace was actually a saint? They cried out in alarm. Lin Xian was also shocked. That's right, the old man who had come was none other than Xia Jiuyo. Who are you? The Archean saint of the Fire Qilin Cave shouted coldly. Xia Jiuyo. The old man said indifferently. Never heard of him. The Archean saint snorted coldly. The sacred leaders and sect masters were also puzzled. However, the 7 saints of the human race changed their expressions. They thought of a person and instantly sucked in a breath of cold air. No way, it couldn't really be him, right? It was very likely that other than him, who else had such means to block the 10,000 dragon diagram? The saints quickly conversed and the sacred leaders felt their scalps go numb. Could it be that this old man had a great background? Xiaojuyo said in a deep voice, 10,000 ancient races, you've gone too far. Could it be that you want to start another dark upheaval? I advise you to leave quickly and don't cause trouble. Xiaojuyo's voice wasn't loud, but there was an unquestionable warning in his tone. Leave quickly? Just you? You can also say such things to me. The saint from the fire Qilin cave sneered. He struck out with his palm, which turned into a huge Qilin hand and grabbed downwards. He wanted to slap Xiaojuyo to death. Upon seeing this scene, everyone became nervous. However, Lin Xian's gaze remained calm. He knew that Xiaojuyo was a saint. They should be able to deal with the current situation. As expected, Xiaojuyo sighed. Boom. The Qilin's big hand exploded in mid-air, and saint blood splattered everywhere. The saint of the fire Qilin cave was incomparably miserable as his entire arm turned into nothingness. What? The saints of the 10,000 ancient races were stunned. The humans also felt their scalps go numb. Even Lin Xian was stunned. He knew that Xiaojuyo was powerful, but he did not expect him to be so strong. To be able to injure a primordial saint with a single sigh, this method was too heaven-defying. Why do I feel that he isn't any weaker than a large success 9 divine body? Everyone was shocked. At this moment, the gazes of all the experts in the true spirit world gathered on Xiaojuyo, wanting to see through him. Damn it, how dare you injure me? The saint of the fire Qilin cave was furious. The flames on his body surged into the sky as he wanted to attack again. However, he was stopped by a primordial saint. The primordial saint's body was hidden in a divine crystal, but his eyes pierced through the void and stared at Xiaojuyo. Who are you? I've said it before, I'm Xiaojuyo. I advise you to quickly retreat and not cause any trouble. Otherwise, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Do you think you can resist the entire 10,000 ancient races by yourself? You overestimate yourself. Our primordial royal race has revived to rule this land. You humans should move aside. The primordial saint was very powerful. They were even stronger than the primordial saints. In the next moment, they roared and activated the 10,000 dragons diagram together. The 10,000 dragons diagram rumbled and transformed into 10,000 dragons that rushed in all directions, causing everyone to be terrified. Not good. Could it be that they were going to use an apocalyptic attack? If that was the case, the eastern wilderness would fall and all of them would be destroyed. No one would be able to survive. Xiaojuyo was still fearless in the face of such a scene. Xiaoqun waved his hand and golden light filled the sky. It quickly wrapped around the 10,000 dragons picture, forming a painting. Immediately, the light of the 10,000 dragons diagram was blocked. Damn it, he actually resisted the 10,000 dragons diagram. How was this possible? The 8 primordial saints and the 10 primordial saints were terrified. What was that thing? Laws appeared in their eyes and pierced through the void. In the next moment, an ancestral saint screamed. The investiture of the gods? It's the investiture of the gods. Where did you get this thing? What investiture of the gods? The primordial saints and human cultivators were confused, but the expressions of the human saints changed drastically. The eyelids of the western desert's eminent monks twitched. Could it really be that thing? They were shocked. Xiaojuyo said indifferently. I got it from the spirit mountain. Do you still want to attack? The spirit mountain was indeed there. The eminent monks of the 10,000 Buddha temple were shocked and chanted Amitabha. The others were puzzled. Master, what was that thing? Yes, was the investiture of the gods very powerful? The eminent monks of the 10,000 Buddha temple said in a deep voice. The investiture of the gods was a treasure personally refined by the arch. It was used to seal powerful enemies. What? This was a treasure refined by the arch. Wasn't that an extreme weapon? Everyone was shocked. No wonder it could resist the 10,000 dragons diagram. Was it Donghua the Arch? The saints were shocked. The eminent monks of the 10,000 Buddha temple nodded. Yes, it was Donghua the Arch. Donghua the Arch had refined the investiture of the gods and sealed a peerless enemy in the spirit mountain. After countless years, that powerful enemy had probably turned into ashes. However, the investiture of the gods had been passed down. However, that was an arch weapon. No one could touch it. They didn't expect that Xiaojuyo would use it to resist the 10,000 dragons diagram. The Xiaojuyo was really terrifying. His strength definitely far surpassed that of a saint. Yes, he could actually use the investiture of the gods. This strength was heaven-defying. Donghua the Arch. The human cultivators discussed animatedly. There weren't many legends about this the Arch, so they didn't know much about him. They knew about Celestial Emperor Yi, the Void Emperor, and the others. However, the Yi family saint said that Donghua the Arch was very terrifying. His might shook the world and he cared about the common people. When the Yi family's Celestial Emperor was young, he received the teachings of Donghua the Arch. That was why he could become a Celestial Emperor. When these words came out, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. What? Even Celestial Emperor Yi received the inheritance of Donghua the Arch? This was simply too unbelievable. One had to know that Celestial Emperor Yi was an extremely terrifying existence. He swept through the 9 heavens and 10 lands, and it was rumored that he had already ascended to immortality. Such a brilliant figure was actually a disciple of Donghua the Great. One could only imagine how terrifying Donghua the Great was. Chapter 2879. Damn it, he actually blocked it. The primordial sages gritted their teeth. The 8 ancestral patriarchs sneered. Do you think we can't do anything just because you blocked the 10,000 dragons portrait? Do you think you can fight against so many of us by yourself? They exuded a cold aura. Kill them. Kill all the human powerhouses in the Jade Pool. I want to destroy the human race. Hearing this, Lin Xian's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly said, Old Xia, do it. Although the other party had 8 ancestral patriarchs, with his and Xia Juyo's strength and the 7 saints, they should be able to fight against them. No hurry? Seeing Xia Juyo smile, Lin Xian was stunned. Could it be that someone else is coming? Indeed. Not long after, another voice sounded between heaven and earth. Riding a sword and riding the wind, I'll eliminate the demons between heaven and earth. All demons submit to me, Jiangxian. His voice sounded extremely carefree and at ease. Everyone was shocked. It was probably another peerless powerhouse that had descended. On the human side, the saints were stunned. Lin Xian also widened his eyes. Could it be? He trembled with excitement, and his eyes shone with a cold light. In the Jade Pool, the dark red divine dragon also muttered softly. No way is that guy here? Damn it, if it's really him, I have to make him return my dragon essence. The dark red divine dragon's eyes were also red. He thought of someone. Lin Xian soared into the sky. Wine Lord, is that you? Whoosh! A sword light streaked across the void, and an immortal sword bloomed. On the immortal sword, a man in a long robe was half lying in the void. He was holding a wine gourd in his hand, and his eyes were a little drunk. Little guy, well done. The man shook the wine gourd and said with a smile. His long hair fluttered in the wind, and there was stubble on his face. He looked very sloppy. However, his eyes were like stars. Everyone knew that this was a super powerhouse. However, what shocked everyone even more was that this super expert was actually related to Lin Xian. Heavens, this Lin Xian is really... They were shocked beyond belief. Xia Jiuyo, who had just come out, was Immortal Palace's old palace master, while Lin Xian was the current palace master. There was no need to talk about their relationship. This new Jiangxian seemed to be very powerful. Moreover, it seemed to be related to Lin Xian. Just who was this Lin Xian? All of a sudden, they began to speculate about Lin Xian's identity. Lin Xian didn't care about what those people thought. At this moment, he only had Wine Lord in his eyes. He was extremely excited. Wine Lord, is it really you? That's great. I thought I would never see you again. How could that be? Wine Lord laughed. As I said before, when you grow up, we will fight side by side. As he spoke, he threw the gourd over. Try it, this is my newly brewed spirit wine. Lin Xian took it and drank 3 mouthfuls. Then he said, awesome. Wine Lord, let's fight side by side. Tens of thousands of rays of light bloomed from his body. Although he could no longer use the power of laws after resisting the extreme weapon, the power of his great success divine body was enough to suppress everything. On the other side, the primordial saints and ancestors had gloomy expressions. In the blink of an eye, the other party had sent 2 super powerhouses. This was truly beyond their expectations. However, a primordial ancestor from the nest of 10,000 dragons sneered. It was just 2 powerhouses, how could they contend against them? The 8 primordial elders were powerful, and they didn't believe that the other party could contend against them. Who said that there were only 2 of them? Wine Lord drank and said with a smile, don't worry, I'll use your blood to brew a pot of good wine later. His eyes lit up. Courting death. The primordial saints and ancestors were furious. The other party actually wanted to use their blood? They were overestimating themselves. Wishful thinking. At the same time they were shocked. Could it be that more human powerhouses had arrived? Why were there so many human powerhouses? One had to know that the saints of the extreme Tao sacred grounds were suppressed by the myriad dragon's portrait. Could it be that those saints had also awakened? Patriarch, what should we do? The saints asked. Investiture of the gods. The primordial ancestors of the nest of 10,000 dragons gritted their teeth. If not for the investiture of the gods, they could have used the myriad king's portrait to kill the other party. But now their 10,000 dragons' portrait was sealed. Damn it. Let's see what they're capable of. An ancestor walked out. This was the ancestor of the Southern Sea crocodile god race. He was extremely terrifying. He transformed into a gigantic crocodile that was tens of thousands of miles long. He blotted out the sky and the sun as he pressed down. His power of laws could directly obliterate a saint. It was too terrifying. The cultivators of the Jade Lake were terrified. These primordial ancestors were truly terrifying. The ancestor of the Southern Sea crocodile god race charged towards Wine Lord in the sky. Die for me. Terrifying might surged outwards, forming a divine spear that pierced forward. His attack could kill a saint. Facing such a terrifying attack, Wine Lord was still lying lazily on the flying sword. He glanced indifferently and then waved his finger. Buzz. Circles of black runes flew out from his hand and flickered in the sky. Then they suddenly expanded and turned into a black hole that spread forward like an abyssal beast that was devouring everything. With a boom, the terrifying divine ability was devoured. Not only that, but the Southern Sea crocodile god race's ancestor also screamed in fear. Damn it, get lost. He realized that the black hole had also enveloped him. A mere spatial power was not worth a single attack. The Southern Sea crocodile god race's ancestor sneered. His huge body swayed, crushing the void. However, he could not escape from the black runes. The runes in the sky completely enveloped him. Devour. Wine Lord whispered as endless black runes flickered. The Southern Sea crocodile god race's ancestor screamed in fear. Damn it, my power. How dare you absorb my power? He screamed crazily and wanted to break free. However, he could not break free at all. This scene shocked everyone. Who was the other party? He was too terrifying to be able to subdue a primordial ancestor so easily. Boom. The void in the sky split open as a divine light tore through the 9 heavens. The primordial ancestor charged out, but his face was pale and his body was trembling with anger. In that instant, a lot of his power had been sucked away. The devouring sword. Damn it, you have the devouring sword. The Southern Sea crocodile god race's ancestor screamed in fear. The others were also shocked. What? The devouring sword, one of the 5 swords in the world? Damn it. Damn it. The primordial saints and primordial ancestors' expressions changed. The devouring sword, one of the 5 swords in the world, was as famous as the dragon sword soul. Its power was definitely beyond imagination. It could devour everything in the world. No one expected that not long after the dragon sword soul appeared, another peerless divine sword, the devouring sword, also appeared. Chapter 2880. The 5 swords of the world had been a legend for too long, and it had not appeared for tens of thousands of years. Who would have thought that the chaos caused by the 10,000 ancient races would cause the great dragon sword and the devouring sword to appear together? Don't act rashly. The ancestral patriarch of the nest of 10,000 dragons said in a deep voice. The ancestral patriarch of the Southern Sea crocodile god race snorted and retreated with a gloomy expression. He did not expect the other party to have the devouring sword. It was not good for him to attack again. However, if he had the chance, he would definitely kill the other party. He had been careless just now. He was not afraid of the other party. So what if it was the devouring sword? He would use his divine power to destroy the other party's body. Let's use the second extreme weapon. The ancestral patriarch of the nest of 10,000 dragons said in a deep voice. All right. The ancestral patriarch of the divine phoenix ridge nodded. It seemed that this was the only way. There was no other way. The current situation was beyond their expectations. The 10,000 dragons portrait was blocked, and the other party had 2 super experts. In addition, Lin Xian had given them a headache. If they did not use the extreme weapon now, they would probably have to retreat. Retreat? How could they be willing to do that? They had planned for so long and used all their strength to kill the human race. If they retreated now, wouldn't they be mocked? Moreover, 8 ancestral patriarchs had come this time. As long as they controlled it carefully, they should not alarm the other extreme weapons. Since they had already decided, the female saint of the divine phoenix ridge let out a long roar. The image of a phoenix rushed out from her body and covered the 9 heavens. Instantly the entire world began to shake. A rumbling sound came from the divine phoenix ridge in the distance. A ray of light streaked across the 9 heavens, bringing with it an invincible radiance as it flew towards the jade pool. Wherever it passed, the void turned into nothingness. The countless living beings below trembled. Some even cracked and turned into a bloody mist. An extreme weapon. This was an extreme emperor's aura. Another extreme grade weapon had been born. Everyone in the world was shocked. The 10,000 ancient races trembled with excitement. On the other hand, the humans were filled with despair. The Queen Mother of the West, the Yi family patriarch, the 7 sages, Lin Xian, and the others also had solemn expressions. Xia Juyo's eyes flickered, but Wine Lord was still indifferent. The extreme weapon tore through the void and instantly arrived above the jade pool. A terrifying Emperor's aura of Emperor's aura. The 1,000 Dragons dragon portrait was also Lord Emperor's list divine phoenix ridge. However, it was still the 1,000 Dragons dragon portrait. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they could still restrain the 10,000 dragons diagram. Otherwise, they would be facing 2 extreme weapons. Now that there was one more, if Lin Xian still had his previous strength, he might be able to take on the monarch weapon with his bare hands. Of course, of God. There was still thousand humans of God, however, they of 1,000 of them. In the sky, endless rays of light turned into a phoenix divine spirit, and thousands of rays of light fell down. Each of them transformed into a terrifying great Tao that interweaved in the sky. Phoenix Bell, an extreme weapon of the divine phoenix ridge. At this moment, being activated by the old ancestor of divine phoenix ridge, it emitted a clear and melodious sound. Boom. The 100,000 mountain peaks suddenly exploded, and millions of lands instantly sank, turning into darkness. It was too terrifying. Just a trace of the extreme weapon's might was enough to shatter mountains and rivers. Nothing could withstand it. Inside the jade pool's sacred ground, the sect masters and saints trembled. Facing the extreme weapon, they were once again unable to breathe. They could not resist at all. Outside, Lin Xian snorted coldly. His body glowed and golden chains surrounded him. He used his powerful physique to resist the Emperor's might. An endless black hole appeared beside Wine Lord, quickly devouring the terrifying energy. Xia Juyo stood there without moving. His eyes seemed to have turned into 2 universes. A terrifying power also surged from his body. Phoenix Bell. If it was activated by an emperor, we really wouldn't be able to resist it. But now you can't do anything to me. Today I'll take it with my bare hands. Xia Juyo stood out. Although his face was old, he was like a mountain standing in the void. You want to take on an emperor's weapon with your bare hands? What a joke. Die for me. The divine phoenix ridge's patriarch laughed sinisterly and struck out with a shocking attack. The phoenix bell spun in the sky, carrying hundreds of millions of great Daos. A wisp of light turned into the phantom of a phoenix, covering the sky and earth as it attacked Xia Juyo. The sky was filled with divine flames. The phoenix was born from the flames and could burn everything. Xia Juyo shouted coldly. His robes fluttered. He reached out with both hands and 2 stars quickly formed in his palms. In the end, they enlarged into 2 universes and charged forward. Boom. Boom. The 2 palms carried the universe and collided with the phoenix that was reborn from the flames. There was a rumbling sound and the sky collapsed. Large black cracks danced wildly in the sky, and all the void collapsed. It was as if the world had been reversed. Monstrous flames spread in all directions, and darkness appeared in the sky. The stars in the sky seemed to have been replaced. All kinds of strange scenes appeared. It was incomparably terrifying. All the primordial kings, sacred leaders, and sect masters felt a chill in their hearts. This method was too heaven-defying. After the attack, the dark stars in the sky disappeared, and the terrifying phoenix flames also disappeared. The sky became clear again. Xia Juyo stood there and retracted his palms. He was unharmed. The 10,000 ancient races were stunned. On the side of the human race they also exclaimed, catching an emperor's weapon with his bare hands. Heavens, another person caught an emperor weapon with his bare hands. Moreover, the power of the emperor weapon this time was even more terrifying. It was too terrifying. He was definitely a super sage. Why didn't they know that there was such a powerhouse in the human race before? Moreover, he was a living sage. He wasn't sealed in a god crystal. Everyone cried out in alarm. They saw hope again. The primordial saints' faces were gloomy, and the primordial ancestors of the divine phoenix ridge had a ferocious expression. Damn it, he blocked it. The other party really blocked his attack. How was this possible? Damn it, who was the other party? The patriarch of the nest of 10,000 dragons roared. Don't fight him head-on. He's probably an old monster who has lived for countless years. His strength is heaven-defying. Let's hurry up and use the Phoenix Bell and the 10,000 dragons diagram to send the investiture of the gods flying. Then we'll gather the 2 emperor weapons and kill them. They definitely won't be able to resist. Alright. The 8 patriarchs and 10 primordial saints moved together. Clang. The Phoenix Bell emitted an incomparably resplendent light. Phoenix phantoms crisscrossed the sky. Together with the 10,000 dragons diagram, they quickly bombarded the investiture of the gods. The investiture of the gods lowered countless great daos to seal everything, but no matter how powerful it was, it couldn't withstand the attacks of 2 emperor weapons. In an instant, the investiture of the gods trembled as if it was about to fall from the sky. Not good, it's dangerous. The Queen Mother and the others were terrified. If the investiture of the gods fell, the power of the 2 emperor weapons would be enough to destroy them in an instant. West Emperor Tower, hurry up and revive. The Queen Mother and the other powerhouses of the Jade Lake Sacred Ground communicated with the West Emperor Tower. However, they couldn't revive it in a short period of time. This made them even more anxious and uneasy. On the other hand, the primordial royals were extremely excited. This is great. 2 extreme-grade weapons. The human race is dead for sure. Chapter 2881. With a boom, the investiture of the gods was finally pushed back. The 10,000 dragons diagram flashed again, and 10,000 dragons rushed into the clouds. They tore through the void, forming a terrifying crack. At this moment, all the human cultivators in the quintessential world knelt on the ground, their faces full of despair. They had broken free. The 2 emperor weapons were going to work together to kill them. In the sky, the 10,000 dragons diagram released its extreme emperor aura, and the Phoenix Bell spun continuously. The 2 were going to work together to kill Lin Xian, Xia Jiuyo, and Wine Lord. Lin Xian roared and used his greater success divine body, preparing to fight to the death. At this moment, there was a loud explosion in the eastern wilderness. Then, a golden pillar of light shot into the clouds and spread continuously. The terrifying Emperor aura appeared again, suppressing the 9 heavens. At this moment, all the 10,000 ancient races trembled, their scalps going numb. Apex weapon, another apex weapon had been born. Damn it, it was the human race's extreme weapon. They felt like their bodies were about to explode. This was definitely not an extreme weapon of the 10,000 ancient races. The pressure on the human side was greatly reduced. At the same time, they were shocked. Another emperor weapon had appeared? Yi Wudao, the Yi family patriarch and the Yi family sage exclaimed. The celestial emperor cauldron. It was the heaven and earth cauldron. Had the Yi family's celestial emperor cauldron awakened? The other sages, the Queen Mother, the Gu family patriarch, and the other sect leaders all widened their eyes. How could the celestial emperor cauldron awaken? One had to know that the West Emperor Tower had yet to awaken. How could the celestial emperor cauldron awaken? Could it have broken the seal of the 10,000 dragons diagram? Impossible. How could the celestial emperor cauldron awaken? On the side of the 10,000 ancient races, the ancient sages and ancestral elders also screamed. It was as if they had seen a ghost. Although they had used 2 extreme weapons, they were still careful not to alert any of them. Not to mention the celestial emperor cauldron, even the West Emperor Tower, which was so close to them, had not awakened. Not to mention the celestial emperor cauldron even further away. Damn it, what had happened? Could it be that the Yi family cultivators had forcefully awakened the celestial emperor cauldron? But how did those people do it? All of a sudden, all the ancient experts were stunned. Xia Jiuyo and Wine Lord smiled. Lin Xian was astonished. It seemed that Xia Jiuyo and Wine Lord weren't the only ones on the human clan's side. The cauldron of the celestial emperor flew out from the Yi family and floated above the 9 heavens, emanating the aura of the Great Path. Hum below the heaven and earth peak, a figure walked over quickly, making him look like a god. What's going on? Someone had really activated the arch cauldron. Who was it? Was it the saint of the Yi clan? The elites of the 10,000 ancient races stared at the figure. Below, the Yi family cultivators and the other Holy Lands cultivators all turned their heads and looked over. That was especially true of the saint of the Yi clan, Leaf Daodenier, and Yang Qi. They didn't know who that person was. Whoosh. The celestial emperor's cauldron arrived near the jade pool in an instant. It intersected with the investiture of the gods, resisting the myriad dragon's portrait and the phoenix bell. What's wrong? Are you trying to bully us humans because we don't have an imperial weapon? The person's voice was ice cold. It was a majestic figure with a head of white hair. He was very eye-catching. However, although his hair was white, he didn't look old. His face was as sharp as a knife, and he looked to be in his 30s. Of course, they wouldn't be fooled by appearances. This should be an expert who had lived for countless years. The other party's aura was too terrifying and strange. It was completely different from the golden path above. It was pitch black like ink, like a demonic cloud that shrouded him. This scene was too strange. It was unbelievable that a demonic figure could control the radiant and holy celestial emperor's cauldron. Even the patriarch of the Yi clan, Yi Wudao, and the other elites of the Yi clan were stunned. Who was this person? He wasn't a saint of the Yi clan. How could he control their celestial emperor's cauldron? Could it be that the other party had forcefully taken their celestial emperor's cauldron? But how was that possible? The celestial emperor's cauldron was an extreme weapon. Who could take it? Apart from the elites of the Yi clan, no one could use it. Thus, in an instant, the Yi family's experts were all stunned. When the elites and saints of the other sacred grounds learned about this, they were also stunned. They couldn't understand what was going on. Lin Xin was also very surprised. No matter how he looked at it, this person didn't look like an elite of the Yi clan. The Yi clan's cultivation technique was very obvious and special. It was golden. After all, the Yi clan had the bloodline of an emperor. Although they only had one saint body, the cultivation techniques of others were the same. They were all cultivation techniques of the emperor race. However, the person in front of him was completely different. His entire body was pitch black like ink. This was a demonic cultivation technique. Looking at the other party's demonic aura, Lin Xian suspected that the great demon of Blackwood Cliff had been resurrected. Damn it, he couldn't be from the demon race, right? For a moment, Lin Xian suspected that the demon race had stolen the supreme weapon and was here to kill the human race. However, judging from the other party's tone and appearance, he seemed to be on the side of the human race. Therefore he was stunned for a moment. Xia Jiuyo and Lord Alcohol's lips curled up. You're finally here. Who are you? In front, Fire Qilin Cave's old ancestors shouted coldly. Their faces were incomparably gloomy. Damn it, why was the human race's side so strange? Every time at the critical moment, a powerhouse would jump out. Furthermore, the other party brought an extreme weapon. This extreme weapon, they were also incomparably familiar with it. The Celestial Emperor Cauldron was an extremely terrifying extreme weapon left behind by Heavenly Emperor Yi. I am the Demon Master. You ancient ants actually dare to threaten the human race. Why aren't you kneeling down and accepting death? The Demon Master was even more insolent, not putting these 10,000 ancient races in his eyes at all. Even facing the ancient saints and ancient ancestors, he still suppressed them with an extremely domineering attitude. We are ants? The Archean kings were all stupefied. The ancient powerhouses and saints were so angry that they vomited blood. Damn it, really too damn it. The other party actually didn't put them in his eyes? Courting death. Those saints and old ancestors erupted with extremely terrifying power. The imperial weapons above their heads flickered with incomparable light. However, this new demon master was still not afraid. He similarly snorted coldly and raised his palm. Endless demonic energy formed a large black hand, directly grabbing the Celestial Emperor Cauldron and smashing it forward. Under this attack, heaven fell and earth split. As if it was going to destroy the world, endless cracks appeared, making these ancient saints and old ancestors all change their expressions. Damn it! Quickly block it. They activated the two monarch weapons as if they had gone mad, forming countless great Tao laws that enveloped them and the supreme ancient army below. Otherwise, this attack would have been more than enough to reduce everyone to ashes. After this attack, the mountains and rivers shattered and blood flowed into rivers. Chapter 2882. The primordial saints and primordial ancestors also felt their blood boil. A few of them were even injured. Their faces were abnormally gloomy. Damn it, was the other party crazy? He actually used an extreme weapon like this. Could it be that he really wanted to destroy this world? The people on the Jade Lake side also vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Their faces were filled with fear. Damn it, was he here to save the human race or to destroy the world? Their bodies trembled. The person in front of them was too powerful. He was both good and evil. Although he came for the human race, his methods were abnormally arrogant. It was as if he didn't have any scruples. Even if they destroyed this world, he wouldn't care. Such a method not only terrified the human race, but also the 10,000 ancient races. Because such a person had no scruples. If they really fought, the 10,000 ancient races would probably suffer great losses. Damn it, hurry up and stop the investiture of the gods. The Celestial Emperor Cauldron definitely couldn't let them use their extreme weapons again. The Patriarch of the Nest of 10,000 Dragons roared. The Patriarch of the Fire Chelan Cave also shouted coldly. If it really didn't work, they would use their extreme weapons. They also planned to use their third extreme weapon. There was no rush. Let's seal their extreme weapons first. We'll fight them. They have fewer people. We don't believe that they can contend against us. The 8 primordial ancestors quickly communicated. Indeed, the other party had a terrifying figure, but they had a lot of saints on their side. If they attacked together, they didn't believe that the other party could contend against them. Fuck, this is too shameless, isn't it? Below, the dark red dragon and the others gritted their teeth. The white-haired demon lord snorted coldly. You're courting death. You ants aren't enough to fight in front of me. He was too arrogant. The primordial ancestors were so angry that they vomited blood crazily. The white-haired demon lord shouted coldly. With my demonic blood, I'll kill my way up to the 9 heavens. Whoever wants to attack, just come. Do you think we'll fight you one-on-one? The 8 patriarchs walked up. The 10 primordial saints did the same. A terrifying power surged out, completely enveloping Xia Luyu and the others. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Light surged from his body. Lord Jiu used the devouring sword and surrounded him. Xia Juyo was like a god of the universe. And this kind of demon lord was even more terrifying. The demon chi surged as if it wanted to overturn the entire world. Who dares to stand with me? Right at this moment, another biting cold voice sounded from the sky. Then, a figure descended, trampling all over the place. My saber can't wait any longer and wants to drink the saint's blood. Wild laughter rang out as a blue figure turned into a saber light, splitting the void. It had appeared. The human experts had appeared again. Below, the human warriors exclaimed. In this short period of time, there were too many surprises for them. First, the white-haired demon lord appeared and used the celestial the arch cauldron. Then 2 more terrifying figures appeared. Not only that, but they were also very powerful. A third powerful figure had also arrived. As soon as she appeared, countless forests appeared in the sky. With a wave of her hand, the injured people in the fairy lake were instantly healed. Heavens, how miraculous. My injuries have actually recovered. Who was this person? She was a life-type saint. The others cried out in alarm as they felt an abundance of power. Lin Xian felt that the power in his body had also recovered. In fact, even the soul of the 9 suns' divine body had become slightly stronger. This made him happy, but he couldn't care less now. His eyes were fixed on the figures in front of him. Among them, a powerful figure descended, trampling all over the place. Father, is that you? Lin Xian shouted. He realized that he was too familiar with this figure. It was his father, Lin Zhan. What? When this voice came out, everyone was stunned. The humans and the 10,000 ancient races were all stunned. Father? Among these figures, Lin Xian's father was actually among them. It can't be. Lin Xian actually has such a great background. His father was an incomparably terrifying saint. The experts of the human race were all stunned. The people on the 10,000 ancient races side were even more terrified. This kid was too strange. He was powerful and he knew Xia Juyo, Wine Lord, and this new expert. A total of 6 figures had appeared, and 3 of them were related to this kid. Damn it, this kid's future achievements were probably limitless. They had to think of a way to get rid of him. The primordial saints glared at Lin Xian with murderous intent. The imposing figure turned his head and looked at Lin Xian with a smile. Xian, you've really grown up. You can take care of yourself now. Father. Lin Xian walked up excitedly, his eyes red. Lin Zhan smiled. Now wasn't the time to talk. After defeating the 10,000 ancient races, let's have a good drink. All right. Lin Xian clenched his fists. Let's work together and defeat these 10,000 ancient races. She was extremely excited. She didn't expect to see Wine Lord and her father here. At the same time, she was extremely shocked. Her father and Wine Lord seemed to know each other, and their relationship wasn't ordinary. What was going on? Her father was just an ordinary cultivator. Although he was powerful, that was only in the Jianghu domain. But now, he had become someone of the indomitable great sage. And it seemed like he had been carrying out a secret mission with Wine Lord and the others. Lin Xian felt that his father and the others seemed to be preparing a shocking plan, but he didn't know what it was. Perhaps this plan would affect the safety of the human race. Of course, now wasn't the time to ask. Lin Zhan turned his head and looked at the surroundings. His loud voice rang out. I'm Lin Zhan. Who dares to stand against me? You're overestimating yourself. Do you really think you can go against us? Without an extreme weapon, the human race is nothing. On the opposite side, a figure walked up from the 8 ancestors. It was the ancestor of the Bai clan. The Bai clan was extremely powerful. They were from the primordial royal race, and they were known as the uncrowned kings. It was said that the Bai clan was known as the strongest royal race after the royal family. Therefore, at this moment, when their ancestor walked out, the humans all held their breaths. He was too powerful. He was definitely someone who could shock the heavens and make ghosts and gods weep. Yes, their bloodline power was said to be terrifying. Would that Lin Zhan be able to block it? Now, the 4 extreme weapons from both sides were facing each other. They didn't use them. Instead, these sages were prepared to fight personally. Lin Zhan looked at the other party and snorted. The Bai clan? Very well, let me see if your uncrowned kings are as powerful as the legends say. Lin Zhan walked out in large strides. You will see it for yourself. However, the price you will pay is your life. The ancestor of the Bai clan also walked out. This ancestor's body emitted a silver glow. His entire body seemed to be made of silver, and he exuded a heavy aura. His physique was strong to an unparalleled extent. To be honest, my target isn't you. I'm targeting your kid. He has the 9 Yang divine body. It's rumored that the 9 Yang divine body has unparalleled strength and a strong physique. I really want to fight with him. But don't worry, after killing you and your son, I will let you and your son reunite in the netherworld. The ancestor of the Bai clan said coldly. In the next moment, runes appeared under his feet. Silver-white Dao runes also appeared on his body. Terrifying divine chains of order danced in the air. Accompanied by his fist, he punched forward. So powerful. The 7 human sages of the Jade Lake sacred ground had already flown up to assist Xiajuyo, the demon ancestor, and the others. However, at this moment when they felt this punch, their expressions changed and they retreated frantically. They didn't dare to take it head-on. They had no choice. Before the punch arrived, just the aura brought by the laws had already caused their bodies to split open. This punch would definitely be able to kill them instantly. In the field, the demon ancestor, Xiajuyo Wine Lord, and the others also moved and flew into the sky. They watched the battle silently. They weren't very nervous. Lin Xian was a little nervous. Although he knew that his father was very powerful, the Bai clan was even more terrifying. Chapter 2883. Feeling the power of this punch, Lin Zhan snorted coldly. His eyes shone brightly. An aura that could suppress the surroundings surged from his body. A loud roar shook the heavens and earth. Lin Zhan also waved his fist. His fist didn't have a resplendent glow. It was simple and unadorned. He pushed it forward just like that. Boom. With a loud bang, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The silver runes in the sky split open. That terrifying silver fist was torn into pieces. Silver-white blood danced in the sky, piercing through the void. The old ancestor of the Bai clan retreated and groaned. He was injured. The old ancestor of the Bai clan was actually injured. How was this possible? The other primordial saints and the other 7 ancient ancestors were all stunned. They didn't dare to believe it at all. That was the Bai clan. Their physique was extremely strong, and they were known as the uncrowned king. It was even rumored that they weren't weaker than the 3 royal families. Such a terrifying physique. But now he was actually injured by a single punch. Damn it. Who exactly was this man in front of them? Impossible. The primordial kings below screamed miserably. The old ancestor of the Bai clan retreated and stabilized his body. His body trembled slightly and he was extremely shocked. He was actually injured in the battle with the other party. The humans were also dumbfounded. The 7 saints, the Queen Mother of the West, the Yi family, and the others were extremely shocked. They had seen the powerful Bai clan in the records. But now, Lin Zhan injured him with a single punch. For a moment, the scene was extremely silent. Even Lin Xian was shocked. Father is so powerful. He's actually not weaker than my phenomenal success divine body. Indeed, he realized that the power that Lin Zhan displayed now was too heaven-defying. It was far beyond his imagination. What exactly had his father experienced all these years? Or was his father a super expert to begin with? Lin Xian didn't know. Suddenly, he thought of the sword-shaped pendant that his father had given him before. It was also extremely mysterious. Could it be that his father had endless secrets on him? In front, Lin Zhan retracted his fist. His cold voice sounded. Bai clan, you're not my match. You're courting death. I'm going to kill you. The silver ancestor was furious. Earlier, he didn't think too highly of the other party, so he didn't use his full strength in that punch, resulting in him suffering a loss. At this moment, he was going to use all of his strength to kill him. He wanted to use the other party's blood to wash away his humiliation. 1,000 hands of silver. With a roar, silver laws danced in the air. This time, the power he used was many times stronger than before. That was because his killing intent had been aroused. He had to kill the other party. In front of him, silver divine chains intertwined with each other. Terrifying silver laws danced as if gods and demons had appeared between heaven and earth. Ka. The silver ancestor's body continued to grow. Not only that, silver arms appeared on his back. It was extremely terrifying. There were at least 1,000 of them. The 1,000 silver arms danced in the air like demons. Terrifying saintly aura filled the sky. Kill. With a furious roar, 1,000 arms burst forth at the same time, bringing along divine chains of laws that filled the sky, suppressing forward. What kind of method was this? It was too terrifying. The experts on the human side were terrified. The primordial king of the Bayin clan laughed sinisterly. 1,000 hands of silver, our ancestor is angry. Humans, just wait for your death. I'll let you know our strength. This was the ultimate technique of the Bayin clan. With 1,000 hands, it could kill the primordial ancestors of the other clans. It could be said to be extremely powerful. They didn't believe that the middle-aged man on the other side could block it. Fine, I'll let you see my true strength. Lin Zhan also took a step forward. Light erupted from his body, spewing out a domineering aura. At this moment he was as powerful as an ancient overlord. He was extremely powerful. Tyrant Fist of the Heavens. With a punch, he suppressed heaven and earth and destroyed all the laws in the world. He wanted to destroy the entire world. What a terrifying aura. The bodies of the primordial saints trembled, and deep fear appeared in their eyes. They felt that just this aura alone was enough to crush them. Damn it, who exactly was the other party? Tyrant Fist of the Heavens was an extremely terrifying fist technique. It had an unparalleled domineering aura and was very difficult to cultivate. This person could actually cultivate it to such an extent. Damn it, he was definitely a super strong expert. They were extremely terrified. As expected, once the Tyrant Fist of the Heavens was unleashed, it had an unparalleled domineering aura that swept through the surroundings. They fought fiercely against the 1,000 silver hands. The two of them fought and the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. They fought from here all the way to the outer realm. With a loud bang, the void above the 9 heavens split open. A huge crack was like a divine sword that split the entire world into two. At the next moment, silver blood splattered. The 1,000 silver barks were blasted apart. The patriarch of the Bayin clan also fell from the outer realm. He was extremely miserable. He roared angrily and his body reassembled. However, it was once again shattered by Lin Zhan's punch. What? The patriarch of the Bayin clan was actually defeated. How was this possible? Wasn't the other party too powerful? Who exactly was the other party? How could Lin Xian's father be so terrifying? Could it be that the other party was also a mysterious expert from a terrifying clan? They were all stunned. Lin Zhan landed. His clothes fluttered, and his domineering aura was still as domineering as before. I've said it before. You're no match for me. Step back, I'll attack. Another patriarch walked out. His figure was like a demon king and he had a terrifying aura. The pair of golden wings behind his back covered the sky. He was from the Heavenly Rock clan. This was a very ferocious clan among the ancient royal clans, the Heavenly Rock clan. It was said that this clan had once challenged dragons and even succeeded in slaying them. They could be said to be extremely powerful. Among the 10,000 ancient races, they weren't any weaker than the Bayin clan. At this moment, the Heavenly Rock clan's patriarch walked out. I'll fight you. He could tell that Lin Zhan was very powerful, but he wasn't afraid. The Heavenly Rock clan was very powerful. They could definitely kill the other party. Lin Zhan's eyes were piercingly cold. Come at me then. Do you think I'm afraid of you? However, before he attacked, the white-haired demon lord floated out. Leave this battle to me. All right then. Seeing the white-haired demon lord, Lin Zhan nodded and stepped back. He stood with his hands behind his back. A mere heavenly rock. I'll give you a chance to live. Kneel at my feet and become my slave. I can spare your life. The white-haired demon lord was even more domineering and arrogant. He didn't put the Heavenly Rock clan's patriarch in his eyes at all. You're courting death. The Heavenly Rock clan's patriarch was enraged. He roared angrily. His black hair danced wildly and his golden wings covered the sky. They transformed into two heavenly blades that slashed over with the great Tao. You want to attack me? You're overestimating yourself. The demon lord's white hair fluttered. He was like a god fiend as he walked forward. He punched out and demonic aura surged from his body. This fist transformed into 6 black holes that seemed to want to devour everything. Chapter 2884. What kind of fist technique was this? It was so terrifying. The 10,000 ancient races and the ancient ancestors were shocked. It was as if they were about to be annihilated by the 6 worlds. The expression of the Tianping race's ancestor also changed. He didn't expect the other party's fist technique to be so profound. However, it was already too late for him to retreat. He could only wave his 2 golden wings crazily, transforming them into 2 heavenly blades that carried the great Tao as they descended. He wanted to shatter the other party's fist with one strike. With a boom, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. 6 dark black worlds enveloped the golden wings. In the sky, the laws collided and the great Tao interweaved, forming a scene of destruction. Boom boom boom. The 6 black worlds spun rapidly, forming a terrifying force that tore apart the golden wings. Blood dyed the sky red as the golden wings were split in half. The Tianping race's saint was sent flying, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. His face was filled with shock. Damn it, how is this possible? How is it impossible? The white-haired demon lord's figure flickered as he waved his fist again, bringing along the 6 worlds as he charged over. Damn it, the Tianping's extreme speed. The pupils of the Tianping race's ancestor constricted. The other party's fist technique was too powerful. Even the golden wings that he was so proud of were cut off. If it were to hit him, it would probably tear him to pieces. Moreover, he didn't expect the other party to be so powerful. After succeeding in one strike, he continued to chase after him. The Tianping's movement technique was extremely fast. Even the saints couldn't see it clearly. They could only see a blurry light. However, the demon lord sneered. The 6 black worlds instantly expanded, enveloping the entire world. No matter how fast you are, can you escape my reincarnation? Kill? The 6 black worlds continued to expand, forming 6 skies that covered the entire world. It was as if their true spirit world was connected to 6 incomparably mysterious worlds. This scene was extremely terrifying. Damn it. Sure enough, the Tianping race's ancestor couldn't escape the 6 worlds at all. In the next moment he was torn apart by the 6 mysterious forces, and his body was torn apart. Ah! The Tianping race's ancestor screamed crazily as his body reformed in the distance. However, he was soon shattered again. One world after another descended, causing the Tianping race's ancestor to scream again and again. Damn it, this is impossible. The ancient sages were terrified and the 10,000 ancient races screamed. The immemorial king of the Sky Rock race knelt on the ground, his eyes bleeding. They were about to go crazy. Their ancestor had been defeated so miserably and was even about to be killed. They couldn't believe it. The humans were also stunned. They were too powerful. These new human experts were each more powerful than the last. Previously, Lin Zhan's tyrant firmament fist had already shocked them. Indomitable and domineering. But now they realized that this white-haired demon lord was even more terrifying. When he punched out, it was as if he had created 6 real worlds. Even the Sky Rock's ancestor, who was so powerful, had been killed several times. If not for the saint's blood rebirth, Patriarch Tianping would have been killed long ago. Even so, they were still terrified. What kind of fist technique was this? This was too terrifying. Leaf Daodenier and the clan leader of the Yi clan looked on in shock. The saint of the Yi clan let out a shriek. 6 Daos Reincarnation Fist. This is my Yi clan's peerless fist technique. How did he know it? What? 6 Paths of Reincarnation Fist. This is the 6 Daos Reincarnation Fist? The other sacred leaders and sect leaders were also stunned. They didn't dare to believe it. The 6 Daos Reincarnation Fist was extremely terrifying. It was a secret technique of the Yi clan that wasn't passed down to outsiders. It was a top divine ability. Leaf Daodenier had cultivated this technique before, and could use it against someone in the same level as him. Not many people could contend against it. And now, the white-haired demon lord actually knew how to use the Yi clan's divine fist. What was going on? Damn it, what was his relationship with the Yi clan? Previously, the other party could directly use the Celestial Emperor Cauldron. Now he even used the Yi clan's 6 Daos Reincarnation Fist. He couldn't be from the Yi clan, right? When these words came out, Everyone was shocked and their scalps went numb. Could it be that this was really the case? They looked at the Yi clan. The clan leader of the Yi clan and Leaf Dao Denier were confused. The saint of the Yi clan was indeed shocked. Was it really him? Could it really be him? Ancestor, what was going on? The clan leader of the Yi clan asked in a deep voice. Although he was the clan leader, he had only been in power for 1,000 years. He didn't know about things that happened a long time ago. This saint was different. He obviously knew more. Leaf Dao Denier was even more shocked. Looking at the expression of their ancestor, could it be that the white-haired demon lord was really from the Yi clan? Heavens, how could someone from the Yi clan become a demon? Perhaps it really was that person, but it was impossible. It was rumored that he had already fallen. How could he appear again? The Yi clan saint's expression was incomparably solemn. This made everyone even more curious. What was the identity of this white-haired demon lord? What was his relationship with the Yi clan? However, this wasn't important anymore. That was because a loud sound had attracted everyone's attention. In the sky, 6 world of reincarnation mercilessly crushed, killing the heavenly rock ancestor 6 times. The heavenly rock ancestor went crazy. A golden halberd rushed out of his body and swept in all directions. Only then did he escape. This halberd was an unparalleled sacred weapon. At this moment, the heavenly rock ancestor used it to carve out a bloody path. After coming out, his body trembled. His face was filled with fear, shock, anger, and humiliation. He had his body shattered 6 times. This was something he had never experienced before. He felt that it was a great humiliation. However, he didn't dare to attack again because the other party was too terrifying. Those 6 black holes were like real worlds. He couldn't break them at all. If he attacked again, he was afraid that he would shatter even more. He might even be killed by the other party. What heavenly rock? It was only SOSO. Obediently become my mount. The demon lord was very domineering. He strode over as if he was about to attack again. You're courting death. The heavenly rock ancestor was furious. Although the other party was powerful, the other party kept saying that he wanted to take him as a flying mount. How could he endure this? In the next moment, he waved the golden halberd in his hand and directly slashed out. This golden halberd was extremely terrifying. It was left behind by an extremely terrifying saint of the heavenly rock clan. At this moment, a golden light shot into the clouds, cutting the entire sky open. Clang. However, it was sent flying by the white-haired demon lord's 6-path reincarnation fist. Damn it, everyone attacked together and kill them. The heavenly rock ancestor roared crazily. He wasn't a match for the other party in a one-on-one battle, but they had more people on their side. Sure enough, in the next moment, the other primordial saints and ancient ancestors couldn't help but attack. Do you think I'm afraid of you? The demon lord let out a long roar. Terrifying demonic energy covered the 9 heavens, forming 3,000 demonic shadows in the sky. I am the demon lord, I shall laugh at the world. A terrifying voice resounded. The 3,000 demonic shadows accompanied the demon lord's 6-path reincarnation fist and charged out together. If you want to fight, I'll accompany you to the end. Lin Zhan also took a step forward and executed the tyrant fist of the heavens. On the other side, Xia Jiuyo had sublimated to the extreme. The aura on his body was piercingly cold as he struck out 2 universes. Lin Xian didn't use any laws, but the power of a greater success divine body was incomparable. He directly entered close combat and killed his way into the primordial saints, sweeping in all directions. In the end, the saber saint's long saber was incomparable. The elf girl struck out laws that filled the sky, helping the human saints recover. She controlled the world and provided a powerful vitality. In an instant, the holy war erupted. It was extremely terrifying. Let's go to the outer realm. The primordial saints roared angrily. The demon lord's black hair fluttered. A black dragon roared beneath his feet, bringing him directly into the sky. These saint-level experts had all fought their way to the outer realm. A great battle erupted, and heaven and earth erupted. Below, the experts of the 10,000 ancient races and the human race trembled. They looked up at the sky. The sky was flickering and large cracks would erupt from time to time. Chapter 2885. Too scary. Will we be able to withstand it? The human race will definitely be able to withstand it. Damn it. Patriarch, do your best. Kill them all. The 10,000 ancient races and the human race's martial artists were extremely nervous. Suddenly, a sea of fire exploded in the distance. It was as if millions of fire cheelants were rushing through the sky, tearing through the void and charging toward Jade Lake. Not good. The Qilin Spear. Damn it. It's an extreme weapon. The human martial artists on Jade Lake's side screamed in fear. Their faces were pale as they fell to the ground. Even the sacred leaders and sect leaders' bodies were torn apart. The Empress of the West and the others were even more shocked. Not good. Those sages are in danger. They realized that after the Qilin Spear appeared, it didn't attack Jade Lake, the investiture of the gods, or the celestial the Arch Cauldron. Instead it charged toward the outer realm. If one of those primeval sages controlled an extreme Dao weapon, no matter how strong Lin Xian, the Archdevil ancestor, and the others were, they would still die. Damn it. Despicable. The dark red divine dragon and the others cursed, but there was nothing they could do. Just the Emperor's aura alone was enough to make them unable to move. As expected, there was a terrifying fluctuation in the outer realm. The void was torn apart, and sage blood floated down from the sky. It was obvious that a sage was injured. Ah! Humans die. The primordial sages let out an arrogant roar. Thousands of rays of light flashed, turning into countless fire Qilins. The Qilin Spear was an extreme weapon. It was an extremely powerful weapon. It was extremely terrifying. Now that it was controlled by the primordial sages, it could destroy gods and Buddhas. It was incomparable. No one could stop it. Damn it. I'm going to slaughter all of the 10,000 ancient races and turn them into rivers of blood. The demon ancestor's cold voice sounded in the sky. Killing intent surged in the sky as countless demonic shadows swept across. Not good. Stop him. The Qilin Spear's power pierced through all the demonic shadows. The demons were also forced back. Lin Xian fought back, but he was also forced back. He had no choice. In the past he could take on Emperor weapons with his bare hands. But now in the outer realm, the Qilin Spear's power was too strong. It was so strong that they were shocked. Fortunately they were in the outer realm. Otherwise the eastern wilderness would have lost countless territories. In the void, an endless black hole was formed. The devouring sword devoured everything, swallowing most of the energy. The demon lord used the 6 paths of reincarnation. The terrifying power of the 6 worlds destroyed everything. Lin Xian's phenomenal success divine body blasted out in all directions. No, this can't go on. Lin Zhan also frowned. Xia Juyo's eyes lit up as he shouted coldly. His aged white hair started to turn black, and his aged face also started to turn younger. Lin Xian's eyes widened in disbelief. Lower 9 Nether's eyes erupted with a piercingly cold light, and a large hand reached down. Lend me the West Emperor Pagoda. The sky-covering hand passed through the Jade Pool's array formation and grabbed the West Emperor Pagoda. Then it rose from the ground. With a loud boom, it was as if a 10,000 zhang tall mountain had been uprooted. The West Emperor Pagoda was uprooted and flew into the sky. In the next moment, it erupted with an unparalleled Emperor's aura. The West Emperor Pagoda had awakened. The Queen Mother of the West and the saints of the Jade Lake sacred ground were shocked. What kind of method was this? Someone had borrowed their imperial armament in a domineering manner. They recognized that it was Xia Juyo's voice. This Elder Ming was too terrifying. He was definitely beyond their imagination. The 10,000 ancient races were also terrified. They were pressed to the ground, their bodies cracked, and their blood dyed the ground red. Above the 9 heavens the primordial saints were also shocked. Damn it, how did he do it? Imperial armaments were the exclusive weapons of Thearchs. They could suppress an area. Only the descendants of Thearchs and sacred grounds could use them. Others couldn't get close at all. Even saints couldn't. But now, the old man in front of them had directly borrowed the West Emperor Pagoda from the Jade Pool sacred ground. What kind of method was this? Damn it, he had already brought the investiture of the gods. Now he had borrowed the West Emperor Pagoda. How did he do it? The primordial saints roared crazily. They frantically activated the Qilin Spear. However, at this moment the human race had the West Emperor Pagoda. With lower 9 Nether's activation, the Qilin Spear was directly sent flying. Explode. The demon lord also roared as his body descended from the 9 heavens. He arrived in front of the celestial emperor cauldron and struck out with his palm. Demonic chi surged from his body. Buzz. The celestial emperor cauldron hummed as it continued to expand, about to crush the entire world. A terrifying extreme Dao emperor's aura erupted, blasting in all directions. Not good, he's crazy, quickly block it. The primordial saints also rushed down from the outer realm, controlling the 10,000 dragons diagram and the phoenix bell to block it. With a boom, the extreme Dao emperor's aura collided, tearing apart the 9 heavens and countless stars in the outer realm. And this impact caused all the seals in the entire true spirit world to be broken. In the next moment, the endless void above the Gu family flickered. Then an ancient mirror shattered the void and appeared in the world with a powerful emperor's aura. The void mirror appeared. In the Yaoguang sacred ground, a dragon's roar sounded. A black cauldron with dragon patterns appeared, also suppressing an area. In the Daoyi sacred ground, a Dao diagram flickered, also incomparably mysterious. In the Grand Xia Empire, a golden divine sword transformed into a giant dragon and soared into the sky. This was the Great Xia Empire's extreme Dao Emperor's weapon. The Jiuli painting also flew out. In the western desert, in the myriad Buddha temple, a Kasaya bloomed in the sky, directly enveloping the entire western desert, forming the strongest defense. This was also an emperor weapon. One after another, extreme Dao weapons appeared, and a terrifying extreme Dao aura suppressed heaven and earth. The entire true spirit world was trembling and countless cracks appeared. At this moment, all the living beings of the sacred grounds and sects prostrated on the ground. Some directly fainted from the shock. Not good, the demon emperor of the northern plains Demon Emperor Palace also appeared, suppressing an area to prevent it from collapsing. Yin Ryu frowned. There was an extremely terrifying power in her body that was being suppressed by her. Otherwise, she would definitely soar into the sky and fight against these extreme Dao weapons. Damn it, it's awakened, it's all awakened. How could this be? The nest of 10,000 dragons, Divine Phoenix Ridge, Fire Qilin Cave, and the 3 royal families as well as the endless ancient royal families, all opened their eyes and roared. They didn't expect that in the end, the human race's extreme Dao weapons would awaken. Next, the foundation of the human race, the sleeping saints, would be awakened. If they forcefully started the dark turmoil, it would be an endless period of darkness. The various races would be destroyed, blood would flow into rivers and corpses would form mountains. It wasn't certain who would win in the end. This wasn't what they wanted to see. They wanted to use extremely tyrannical methods to destroy the human race as quickly as possible. However, this plan failed. What should they do? The Archean patriarchs and powerful sages quickly conversed. They had to think of a countermeasure. On the human race's side, the frozen saints of the sacred grounds and sects also opened their eyes. When they sensed all of this, they let out crazy roars. Figures appeared in the sky one after another. Damn it, who dares to attack the human race? They were really crazy. In the next moment, the world was in chaos. Terrifying energy currents wreaked havoc in all directions. Those weak cultivators were like ants, mercilessly crushed. If they wanted to fight, so be it. At most, they would sink the entire world. The saints of the 10,000 ancient races were also furious. Boom. In the endless void, 2 extreme Dao weapons soared into the sky. It was obvious that the royal families of the 10,000 ancient races had awakened again. More and more extreme Dao weapons appeared in the world. Although they didn't clash, just their auras made the entire world shake. Chapter 2886. It's over. Is this the end of the world? Those people were terrified. The people of the 10,000 ancient races also prostrated on the ground, trembling. Because they realized that even if they had terrifying extreme weapons in the ancient royal family, it was still useless. Because the humans also had them. Moreover, once the extreme weapons collided, the entire world would be destroyed. Who cared if they were royalty or royal family? They couldn't exist at all. I'm afraid that only those with imperial armaments would be able to survive. Therefore, these ancient creatures were all lying on the ground, screaming crazily. Humans, do you really want to fight to the death? The ancestor of the nest of 10,000 dragons roared, his voice rumbling like thunder. How laughable. You want to start a dark chaos and massacre the human race, but you don't want us to resist? Lin Xian sneered. Was the other party crazy? What kind of logic was this? If you want to fight, I'll accompany you to the end. Lin Zhan's body was also full of fighting spirit, carrying an incomparable domineering aura. The demon lord was even more direct. What nonsense was there to talk about? Let's see our true moves with the imperial weapons. I don't believe that you can be stronger than me in terms of the use of imperial weapons. The celestial emperor cauldron above his head was as if the celestial emperor had been reborn. He was unbelievably powerful. Xia Juyo's expression was solemn. The stars in his eyes flickered. To be honest, we don't want to use the imperial weapons unless we have no other choice. But you ancient races are really going too far. Do you really think that the human race has no one? Using the extreme weapons is a warning to you. It's a warning to you that the human race is not someone you can bully and crush as you wish. As soon as these words were spoken, the ancient saints and ancestors opposite them gritted their teeth in anger, their bodies trembling. Before they fell into a deep slumber, the human race was just a small ant. But now they could actually threaten them. Moreover, they couldn't fight back at all. This kind of depressing feeling was unbearable for the 10,000 ancient races who thought that they were high and mighty like gods. Damn it, let's fight it out. I don't believe that they can win against us. That's right, our foundation and strength are far from what these humans can imagine. Fire Qilin Cave and Divine Phoenix Ridge. Two ancient monarchs roared crazily. They were too aggrieved. The two imperial weapons in the distance also floated up and down. Similarly, a few terrifying figures appeared in the void. Laws danced around their bodies, making them hazy, making it impossible for others to see them clearly. What kind of race was this? However, at this moment, one of the figures in the distance spoke. No. The human race had developed to its current level. Over the past tens of thousands of years, several great emperors had emerged, leaving behind their orthodoxies and supreme weapons. You're still no weaker than us primeval theocrats. That's right. If we really fight, both sides will suffer and we won't be able to gain any advantage. That's not what we want. What we want is just resources and territory for cultivation. We don't want other races to go extinct. Hearing this, the saint of the nest of 10,000 dragons fell silent. Indeed, although they were angry, they knew that if they really fought, the entire world would be plunged into misery and suffering. Most of the 10,000 ancient races would be destroyed, and only a few of the royal families would survive. Moreover, it was uncertain whether the imperial family would be able to survive. More importantly, their dragon crown prince had just been born. If he suffered any losses in this battle, they would not be able to recover even if they died 10,000 times. Hence, the nest of 10,000 dragons had already decided not to make a move. At the very least, they could not erupt into a battle with supreme weapons. In addition, the Divine Phoenix Ridge, Fire Spirit Cave, and the other primeval theocrats were the same. They also had princes and princesses. If they were really killed, the gains would not make up for the losses. Negotiate. In the end, an ancestor of the nest of 10,000 dragons spoke in a deep voice. You humans have occupied too much land and resources. The 10,000 ancient races must take back some of them. Yes, that's right. No one will use supreme weapons, but you must give us resources and land. We must control this world together. The saint of the Fire Qilin Cave also said that. The saint of the Divine Phoenix Ridge also snorted coldly. The eyes of the other 10,000 ancient races were red and fiery. Indeed, although they couldn't start a war, they had to take back the resources. They definitely couldn't let the humans take advantage of them. Hearing that the primeval theocrats wanted to negotiate, the jade pool cultivators below were stunned. It was as if they were dreaming. They didn't expect the primeval theocrats to retreat. Those from the Yi family, Gu family, Daoi Holy Land, and the others who had supreme weapons also heaved a sigh of relief. Great, there was no need to start a war. Otherwise they would have suffered heavy losses. Lin Xian also heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that the dark turmoil had been stopped. Xia Juyo's eyes flickered and he revealed a smile. Only the demon lord snorted coldly, looking very unhappy. To be honest, Lin Xian and the others were really worried. They were afraid that the demon lord would directly use the celestial emperor cauldron and kill his way over. If that happened, there would be no possibility of negotiation at all. However, although the demon lord's actions were evil and unpredictable, he was incomparably arrogant. However, this time he didn't make a move. In that case, let's go to the jade pool, Xia Juyo said with a smile. With a wave of his hand, the West Emperor Pagoda in his hand quickly descended and returned to the jade pool, suppressing the jade pool. It emitted tens of thousands of rays of light. The Gu family, Great Xia, and Daoi Holy Land also withdrew their supreme weapons. On the other side, the nest of 10,000 dragons and the other primeval theocrats also withdrew their supreme weapons. In the sky, the Emperor's aura slowly dissipated. The living beings below all heaved a sigh of relief. That's great. They were saved. Because just now, their fates were all in the hands of those people above. If these people had fought with their supreme weapons, none of them would have been able to survive. This made them feel like they had survived a disaster. Only the Yi family had a strange expression because their celestial emperor cauldron was still in the hands of the other party. Facing this terrifying white-haired demon lord, they didn't dare to speak at all. If the other party killed them without saying a word, they probably wouldn't have anywhere to cry. However, if they couldn't get the celestial emperor cauldron back, how could they be willing? One had to know that this was a supreme weapon. It was their lifeblood. They would never lose it. For a moment, the Yi family's patriarch and the others frowned. Many elders even secretly wanted to activate the sleeping saints to snatch it by force. However, among them, a few living fossils shook their heads. They rose into the air, and one of them even said excitedly with a trembling voice, "Are you Lord Seven? What's going on?" As soon as these words came out, the people of the Yi family were dumbfounded. The cultivators of the other holy lands were also shocked. Those archaic creatures also frowned. A powerful Yi family saint was actually so respectful to the white-haired demon lord? Chapter 2887. But why did the other party cultivate the demonic path? They couldn't understand. They were very curious and all of their eyes were looking forward. Lin Xian was also surprised. The white-hair fiend ancestor snorted and turned to look at the other party. "What seventh master? You've got the wrong person." With a wave of his hand, the celestial emperor Cauldron flew out and entered the Yi family. Seeing this scene, the Yi family patriarch and the others heaved a sigh of relief. Great, the celestial emperor Cauldron had returned. However, this made them even more puzzled. Was the person in front of them really not from the Yi family? But why did the other party know the 6 paths of reincarnation fist? Why could the other party use the celestial emperor Cauldron directly? On the other hand, the saint of the Yi family was extremely excited. "It's him, it must be him." He roared crazily in his heart because his guess was right. The other party must be that person. However, the other party probably wouldn't admit it. But it didn't matter as long as he knew that the other party was still alive. Seeing the other party's impatient expression, the Yi family saint hurriedly turned around and left. He knew this person's temper. If the other party was really angry, he would probably chop him up. Who was the patriarch? The invincible kings of the Yi family asked one after another. However, the saint shook his head. He would talk about this matter after returning to the family. Indeed, there were too many people now and it wasn't suitable to talk about these things. The others originally wanted to hear some secrets of the Yi family, but now it seemed impossible. But soon they put away their thoughts. Because above, Xia Juyo, the demon lord, Lin Zhan, Lin Xian, and other peerless experts descended from the sky and entered the Jade Pool. The Queen Mother and the Jade Pool's saints hurriedly opened the array formation and made a path. They welcomed them with the highest standards. They had no choice. These were all saints, and among the saints, they were extremely terrifying existences. They couldn't be offended. After landing, Xia Juyo and the others looked up at the sky. Lin Xian also sneered. He looked at the primordial saints of the nest of 10,000 dragons and sneered. "What? Don't you dare to come down? If you don't dare to come down, then go back. There's no need to negotiate. Scram back to your nest and don't come out again. Kid, you're courting death." The primordial saints were so angry that they coughed up blood. Among them, primordial ancestor Gu snorted coldly. They quickly descended, bringing with them the laws that filled the sky, and arrived at the Jade Lake. In an instant, the martial artists at the Jade Lake felt as if the sky was falling and the earth was splitting apart. Fortunately, the West Emperor Pagoda had already awakened at this time, and an endless emperor's aura was released, blocking the terrifying aura of these sages. Only then did they manage to protect Jade Lake. Otherwise, all the warriors in the Jade Lake would turn into blood mist and cease to exist. How terrifying. Was this the power of a supreme saint? Gu Santong, No Flower, and the others were shocked beyond words. Yi Wudao, the Alcade Holy Sun, Dustless, and the others all wore solemn expressions. Their eyes were burning with passion. They were too strong. Although they thought that they were the geniuses of the younger generation, they didn't have any power to resist in front of these primeval sages. A single glance from the other party was enough to kill them instantly. He really hoped that one day he would be able to fight with such a person. They were envious. At the same time, they looked at Lin Xian in shock. Lin Xian had fought with such an existence before? Heavens, this is too scary. The Queen Mother of the West opened the West Emperor Palace. It was an ancient palace with a peerless array formation and endless Tao inscriptions. It was used to receive the sages. Usually, it wouldn't be opened, but now that so many human sages and primeval sages had descended, she had no choice but to open the West Emperor Palace. Soon Xia Juyo, the demon lord, Lin Zhan, and the others were invited in. The sages and primeval kings of the 10,000 Archean races also walked in. Lin Xian was also among them. He had fused with the Greater Success Divine Body and could be said to be extremely powerful. Naturally, he could also enter the West Emperor Pagoda. The others couldn't enter. Even the Yi family patriarch, the Queen Mother of the West, and the others couldn't do anything. They could only wait outside. The other martial artists of the human race were the same. Outside, the endless primeval army was also very nervous. No one knew what the outcome of this discussion would be. No one knew how much resources and land the human race would give up. However, if they gave up a bit, these people would bleed. Damn it, they really wanted to go in. The dark red divine dragon outside was also scratching its ears and cheeks anxiously. However, there was nothing it could do. There were endless Tao inscriptions in front of it. Those were the laws of the sage level. Those below the sage level couldn't detect them. After 2 days, everyone's expression changed. This was because they heard angry roars coming from the West Emperor Palace. There were humans and primeval races. It couldn't be, right? Were the negotiations going to fall apart? They were terrified. It seemed that the negotiations between the two sides were not harmonious. In fact, there was even a roar. There was no choice. There were only so many top-tier resources and spirit veins. Other than those forbidden lands that couldn't be entered, the other places were occupied by the human race. How could they give them to the primeval races? In particular, those top-tier spirit veins and resources would definitely be the focus of the two sides. It was easy to understand why such a voice was heard. However, these people were trembling. If these people fell apart and another battle broke out, wouldn't the dark turmoil start again? Everyone waited outside for 7 days and 7 nights. Suddenly, the door of the West Emperor Pagoda opened, and the primeval sages walked out like fiend gods. Their faces were gloomy, and their killing intent was monstrous. It was obvious that the discussion was very unpleasant. After coming out, they soared into the air, tore through the void, and arrived outside. Then Xia Juyo, the Fiend Master, Lin Zhan, Lin Xian, and the others also walked out. They also had grave expressions. The faces of the saints of the sacred grounds and major sects were also ashen. It was obvious that the other party was asking for too much. Humans do as we say. If you don't, we will start a dark upheaval. In the sky, the primeval sages' voices were cold. I will give you 7 days to consider. After 7 days we will talk again. As they spoke, they led the primeval army and camped near the Jade Pool. Damn it, they were going too far. The saints of the sacred grounds and major sects gritted their teeth and roared. Indeed, the other party was too arrogant. Their conditions were really unacceptable. At most, they would fight with them. They would let them know that the human race was not to be bullied. Many people gritted their teeth. Xia Juyo, Lin Zhan, the Fiend Master, and the others frowned. The other party's conditions were indeed overboard, but it was impossible for them to fight. If they fought, the mountains and rivers would shatter, and they would be the ones to suffer in the end. Could it be that there was no other way? Lin Xian also frowned. To be honest, if he hadn't followed in and heard these conditions, Lin Xian wouldn't have known that the primeval races were actually so ambitious. There was no other way. Xia Juyo sighed. Although there was no extreme war, the primeval races still looked down on the human race in their hearts. Therefore, they would naturally ask for too much. Chapter 2888. That's right. Both sides were tied. Although they didn't use any extreme weapons, their remaining strength wasn't enough to make the ancient race fearful. They had to make the ancient race fearful before they could negotiate normally. Otherwise, if the other party demanded an exorbitant price, they wouldn't be able to negotiate. If only our human race had a living emperor. Let's see if the ancient race would still dare to be arrogant. A sage from the Purple Dawn sacred land shook his head and sighed. Let me do it. At this moment, a voice rang out, attracting the attention of the sages. Lin Xian was also shocked because he realized that the voice was coming from his body. Senior, he exclaimed. That's right. The voice was coming from the 9 Sun Sword Saint's soul. The other sages were also shocked. They naturally knew that this body wasn't Lin Xian's. They didn't know where he got it from. Now that they heard another voice coming from the other party's body, they were extremely astonished. This soul was very weak, but the pressure coming from it made their eyelids twitch. Even the Fiend Lord, Wine Lord, Xia Juyo, and the others narrowed their eyes. You should be the previous 9 Sun Sword Saint, right? At this moment, Xia Juyo spoke. That's right. I am. The 9 Sun Sword Saint's soul sent out waves of energy that shocked the sages. You don't have to guess my origins. My soul can't hold on for much longer. So, I want to use my remaining strength. What do you want to do? Xia Juyo asked. The 9 Sun Sword Saint's soul said, I need power. Give me as much power as you want. I can temporarily recover to my peak state and then intimidate the ancient race. However, this time is very short. It won't be long before I vanish into thin air. Senior. Lin Xian exclaimed again. The 9-Sun Sword Saint Soul said, "Don't worry. Don't be sad for me. I should have died long ago. It's just that due to special reasons I lived for tens of thousands of years. Now all of this isn't what I'm familiar with. There's no need for me to stay. But for the human race, I'm willing to make a final contribution." Hearing this, all the sages fell silent. Yes, everyone should do their best for their race. I can help you. Xia Juyo also nodded solemnly. Wine Lord, Lin Zhan, Demon Lord, and the others' eyes glinted coldly. We don't have any problems on our side. We can provide you with enough power to temporarily restore you to your peak state. At this point, the saints were extremely shocked. How terrifying would a divine body at its peak state be? They did not dare to imagine. There's no time to lose. Let's begin. The 9-Sun Sword Saint Soul said. Xia Juyo, Wine Lord, and the others nodded. Little guy, I still need you to control this body. The 9-Sun Sword Saint said. No problem, Senior. I will do my best. Lin Xian clenched his fists. The 9-Sun Sword Saint nodded his head in gratification. I'm very happy to see you grow. I hope that you can bring the 9-Sun Divine Body to greater heights in the future. I have one last request. Once I'm done intimidating the ancient royal family, I hope to return to Black Demon Cliff. You buried this body in the deepest part of your body. Don't worry, Senior, I will definitely fulfill your last wish. From the looks of it, the 9-Sun Sword Saint was still worried about the demonic chi there. He wanted to use his divine body to suppress the demonic chi in Black Demon Cliff. The Saint of Jade Lake controlled the West Emperor Tower and released waves of Emperor's aura to envelop Jade Lake. It was to prevent the 10,000 ancient races from investigating. After all, they were used to intimidate the 10,000 ancient races. If the other party discovered it and destroyed it, the losses would outweigh the gains. Waves of Emperor's aura shot out, preventing the people outside Jade Lake from investigating. Even if they used extreme weapons, they might not be able to enter. This scene terrified the other cultivators in Jade Lake. What's going on? What's happening? Why are they using extreme weapons again? Are they really going to start a dark upheaval? Their bodies trembled. The 10,000 ancient races stationed near the Jade Pool were also stunned. The primordial life forms prostrated themselves on the ground, and the primordial kings were terrified. The primordial saints' expressions also changed. They all rose into the air. Damn it, Extreme Emperor's aura. They activated the West Emperor Tower. Are they planning to ambush us? These people emitted a terrifying aura. As long as the situation was not right, they would activate their extreme weapons. Since the other party wanted to fight, they would accompany them to the end. However, after waiting for a long time, they all frowned because they realized that the West Emperor Tower only covered the entire Jade Lake. It did not spread out. It did not attack them. This made them heave a sigh of relief. It seemed that these humans were afraid of a sneak attack, so they covered the entire Jade Lake. What a bunch of cowards. The primordial saints sneered and landed one after another. They also warned their own people not to be afraid. It was just a defense of the human race. The 10,000 ancient races sneered. In Jade Lake, the human cultivators waited for a long time, but they did not see any attack. They heaved a sigh of relief. They guessed that it was for their own safety that they used Emperor's weapons to defend, to prevent the 10,000 ancient races from ambushing. Therefore they were relieved. In the depths of Jade Lake, Lin Xian, Xia Juyo, and the others stood there. Lin Xian stood on an extremely complicated array formation. This array formation was completely formed by interweaving Dao runes. It was drawn by Xia Juyo, Wine Lord, Demon Lord, and the others. Together with the Jade Lake's holy water and the goddess of life's great divine ability, it began to restore his greater success divine body. Wine Lord even used the devouring sword to devour the pure energy of heaven and earth and poured it into his greater success divine body, restoring it to its peak. Lin Xian felt as if his greater success divine body had come alive and was crazily absorbing the energy. Could it be that his greater success divine body had not recovered to its peak strength at all? He was too surprised. One had to know that he could defeat a saint with just the strength of his physical body. However, this was only his normal state, not his peak state. How terrifying would a peak greater success divine body be? He could not imagine it at all. Of course, the most difficult thing was the 9-Sun Sword Saint's soul. Because his soul was too weak, like a candle that could be extinguished at any time. He had to ensure that the other party's soul was not extinguished before he could use his greater success divine body. Otherwise, Lin Xian would not be able to use his greater success divine body. Use my Lanrua Temple's soul anchoring pearl. A monk from Lanrua Temple took out an ancient treasure. It was a yellow pearl covered with Buddhist runes. The moment it appeared, everyone's soul trembled. A look of shock appeared on their faces. This was too unbelievable. One had to know that they were all saint-level existences. How powerful were their soul powers? But in front of this pearl they trembled. From this, one could imagine how extraordinary this pearl was. Chapter 2889. The other sages were also shocked. This was left behind by an ancient Buddha. It was an extremely terrifying treasure. Moreover, it was a rare soul treasure. With it, one's soul could definitely be protected. With this item, the 9 Sun Sword Saints' soul should be able to protect it. At the very least, it would allow him to complete his mission of intimidating the 10,000 ancient races. The sages were extremely excited. Xiajuyo, Wine Lord, and the others also nodded. They also knew about the soul anchoring pearl. Lin Xian was also shocked. He carefully took the soul anchoring pearl and inserted it into his body. The soul anchoring pearl emitted a Buddhist light and enveloped the 9 Sun Sword Saints' soul. With the soul anchoring pearl's protection, the 9 Sun Sword Saints' soul unleashed all his potential with a roar. Buzz! Lin Xian's body trembled. Then he let out a long roar, shattering the galaxy in the sky. Countless rune laws appeared on his body, turning into divine chains of order that danced around him. The Greater Success divine body emitted a dazzling light. The entire Jade Lake trembled. The martial artists in the Jade Lake were terrified and looked up. Damn it, what's happening? Why is the Jade Lake trembling? Could it be that the 10,000 ancient races outside are attacking? They were truly stunned. Now, the Jade Lake was being suppressed by the West Emperor Pagoda. There shouldn't be a problem. However, the Jade Lake trembled violently. Countless cracks appeared in the sky above. A terrifying and monstrous aura pressed them to the ground, making them unable to resist. The sages of the sacred grounds were all terrified. Was the great emperor resurrected? They looked at Lin Xian in front of them in shock. At this moment, the aura emitted from Lin Xian's body was too terrifying. It was far beyond that of a sage. It was as if an ancient great emperor had been resurrected. The only ones who could resist it were Xiajuyo, the Fiend Lord, Wine Lord, and the others. They also retreated with solemn expressions. They looked at the Greater Success divine body in front of them with flickering eyes. As expected of the 9 Sun divine body. When cultivated to the Greater Success divine body, it was comparable to a great emperor. This was great. This power could definitely intimidate the 10,000 ancient races. Although the other sages were trembling, their eyes were burning with passion. That was because the other party was simply too strong. Was this the power of a Great Success divine body? Lin Xian clenched his fists in shock. He saw that the sages around him were trembling because of his aura. He even felt that he could kill these sages with a single glance. Too powerful. This made him excited and incomparably envious. He swore that in the future he would definitely cultivate the 9 Yang divine body to the large success stage. Buzz buzz buzz. In the sky, countless large cracks appeared. Strands of laws were useless, and divine flames filled the sky. They turned into phoenixes that circled around him. All kinds of strange phenomena appeared under his feet. It was as if he was kneeling. The sect masters and elders in the Jade Lake were all stunned by this scene. Could it be that the ancient emperors had really come back to life? Even the 10,000 ancient races stationed outside were terrified. Those ordinary immemorial creatures were once again pressed to the ground, and some even fainted. The primordial king trembled. The primordial saint and a few patriarchs also changed their expressions. A piercing light appeared in their eyes, and it turned into a long rainbow as if it was going to pierce through the front. Damn it, what was going on? What kind of aura was this? They were extremely shocked. Why was there such a terrifying power emitting from the Jade Lake, as if the ancient emperors had come back to life? Could it be that they had used a second extreme weapon again? The sage of the heavenly rock race said with a frown. Because inside, other than the West Emperor Tower, there was also a terrifying power that was awakening. That power was almost the same as the Emperor's might. Therefore, they suspected that the other party had activated a second extreme weapon in the Jade Lake. Damn it, what were these guys trying to do? They covered the Jade Lake and even activated a second extreme weapon. Could it be that they were really plotting something? The faces of the primordial saints were gloomy. The sage of the nest of 10,000 dragons said in a deep voice. Let's be careful and not be tricked by the other party. The extreme weapons are always connected. Don't worry, we definitely won't let the humans sneak attack us. The other sages also sneered. Inside the Jade Lake, Lin Xian's eyes erupted with a piercing light. He let out a long roar that shattered the 9 heavens. At this moment he was like a god of war that could split the world apart. Inside his body, the 9 Sun Sword Saint's soul said, "Little guy, that's enough. Hurry up and move. I don't have much time." Although he had the soul anchoring pearl, there wasn't much time left for the 9 Sun Sword Saint. After hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. In the next moment he took a step forward. After taking a step, the golden runes under his feet flickered and turned into a golden dragon. Heaven and earth shook and the void collapsed. There was nothing that could stop it. In an instant, Lin Xian arrived outside the Jade Lake. A terrifying force shook the surroundings and swept out in all directions. At this moment, all the cultivators in the Jade Lake knelt down, trembling. Not only that, but the ancient army outside also prostrated on the ground. Apart from the vicinity of the Jade Lake, all the living beings in the entire eastern wasteland knelt on the ground again. Their faces were filled with fear. What was going on? Could it be that an extreme weapon was used? Heavens, could it be that the Jade Lake collapsed? Apart from the eastern wasteland, the middle ground, and the western desert, the experts in the entire true spirit world were also trembling. Their gazes turned to the distant east. Damn it, what was going on? Look, it's not an extreme weapon, it's a person. In the Jade Lake's sacred ground, a few sect masters screamed. They discovered that the terrifying aura wasn't an extreme weapon, but a human figure. Who was that? Could it be that the great emperor of the ancients had revived? This shocked them greatly. The aura emitted by the other party was not inferior to an extreme weapon at all. Only a great emperor could emit such an aura. However, the light was too bright. They couldn't see it clearly at all. Golden light. That's the 9 Sun Divine Body. It's Lin Xian. Heavens, how did his power increase again? Those living fossils had faces full of shock. Could it be that it's the peak state of the greater success Divine Body? As soon as those words were said, everyone was shocked and sucked in a breath of cold air. It seemed that the saints of the Great Sage Lands had joined forces to restore Lin Xian's greater success Divine Body to its peak. Could it be that the human race was going to attack the 10,000 ancient races again? This was truly a shocking piece of news. At this moment, all the sect masters watched in silence, their bodies trembling. On the other hand, the 10,000 ancient races were also stunned. Especially the ancient saints, their pupils constricted. Damn it, it's not an extreme weapon. They also saw the golden figure in the sky. Had the great emperor revived? Chapter 2890. Because the other party's aura was too terrifying, so terrifying that they couldn't resist at all. Only a great emperor could make them feel so hopeless. No, damn it, I don't believe it. They screamed crazily. How was this possible? How could there be a living great emperor of the human race? They were crazy. One had to know that the appearance of a great emperor was an existence that dominated the world. Even if the other families had extreme weapons, they wouldn't be able to contend against a true great emperor. Because the difference was too great. Previously, they were full of confidence, thinking that they could destroy the human race or at least make the human race slaves again. But now, a great emperor had actually appeared in the human race, which made them despair. If the great emperor of the human race attacked, none of the 10,000 ancient races would be able to resist. These 10,000 ancient races were really panicking. No, it wasn't a real great emperor, it was that kid. The eyes of the saint of the nest of 10,000 dragons were like divine chains that pierced through the void. He finally screamed. It was that kid from before. Are you talking about that Lin Xian? This should be the power of a great success Divine Body. That's not right. I've already seen the 9 Yang Divine Body before. Although it's very powerful, it's far from this level. The other ancestors also frowned. The face of the ancestor of the nest of 10,000 dragons was pale. It was probably the peak state of a great success Divine Body. What, a great success Divine Body in its peak state? It was rumored that it was comparable to a great emperor. How did he recover? Damn it, how did this kid do it? The patriarchs roared like they had gone mad. Lin Xian stood in the void, his eyes opening and closing as he swept his gaze in all directions. Buzz buzz buzz. Those ancient kings exploded with a loud bang, and the ancient army below also turned into a bloody mist. Oh, damn it, block it. Block him. They roared crazily. In an instant, the image of 10,000 dragons appeared. Tens of thousands of auras hung down, covering the countless ancient army. The other ancient creatures that survived trembled and peed their pants in fear. It was too terrifying. The other party only glanced at them, and the powerhouses of the 10,000 ancient races shattered into a bloody mist. What kind of power was this? If the other party attacked, none of them would be able to resist. Damn kid, how dare you attack us? Kill him, I must kill him. The primeval saints roared. The 10,000 dragons diagram was activated, and it unleashed a shocking attack. 10,000 dragons roared and charged toward Lin Xian. This time Lin Xian didn't dodge. He stretched out a hand and grabbed forward. Wherever it passed, the laws and energy of the 10,000 dragons portrait were quickly destroyed. Then the sky-covering hand grabbed the 10,000 dragons portrait. The 10,000 dragons diagram transformed into countless dragons that roared in the sky, but they were unable to break free from this large hand. Damn it. He actually managed to grab the myriad dragons diagram. This was what it meant to be able to catch an imperial weapon barehanded. The ancient creatures were terrified. In the jade pool, the human warriors were also stunned when they saw this scene. Was this the power of a great success divine body that was comparable to a great emperor? He was indeed too powerful. That was an emperor weapon. Yet the other party was able to hold it so easily. Grabbing the 10,000 dragons picture, Lin Xian looked down again. Bang bang bang. The bodies of the saints split open, and their blood splattered everywhere. What? Even the saints couldn't withstand a single glance from him? What kind of existence was this? The 10,000 ancient races had really gone crazy. The bodies of the patriarchs also split open as they retreated crazily. They frantically activated the 10,000 dragons picture, and the other supreme weapons were also quickly recovering. Lin Xian waved his hand and sent the 10,000 dragons picture into the outer realm. In the next moment, his cold voice resounded through the 9 heavens. Do you really think that the human race doesn't have any powerhouses? Just as well, I'll go to the territory of the 10,000 ancient races today. At this point he took a step forward and countless Dao runes appeared under his feet. They directly stretched into the distance, forming a golden dragon that stretched for tens of thousands of miles. With a single step, the mountains and rivers changed and time and space rotated. Lin Xian instantly disappeared in the sky. Not good. The primeval saints all screamed. From what they heard, the other party wanted to attack their nest. Damn it, an existence comparable to a great emperor was attacking their nest. How could they resist? Not good, protect the dragon prince. The saints of the nest of 10,000 dragons roared crazily. They also tore through the void and flew towards the nest of 10,000 dragons. Bus. Middle ground, Qinling Mountains. Millions of dragon veins coiled above the ground like giant dragons. At this moment, the void in the sky cracked open and golden Dao runes gathered. A golden god of war walked out of the crack. It was Lin Xian. The moment he appeared, a terrifying pressure filled the entire middle ground. All the living beings of the middle ground prostrated on the ground, trembling. Was the great emperor here? The faces of these living beings were filled with terror. The saints of the Tai dynasty, Grand Xia dynasty, and the other sacred grounds and sects also opened their eyes. Deep shock appeared in their eyes. Damn it, who was it? At this moment, countless people's gazes were focused on the Qinling Mountains. Inside the nest of 10,000 dragons. The primeval saints of the dragons also opened their eyes. Although they didn't break the divine crystal, they all floated up. Not good, a strong enemy is attacking. Quickly protect the crown prince. Countless figures danced and surrounded the golden dragon. The golden dragon's expression was also solemn, and there was a trace of shock in his golden eyes. What a terrifying aura, it made him tremble. What was it? Had the great emperor really awakened? Bus. In the next moment, a large palm grabbed over from the sky, and the void above instantly cracked open. Lin Xian directly broke open the nest of 10,000 dragons. Countless dragon chi rolled and soared into the sky. Damn it, who was this person? The saints in the nest of 10,000 dragons screamed in horror. This method was too terrifying. Their nest of 10,000 dragons was a forbidden area, and no one could break in. However, the other party broke open the nest of 10,000 dragons with a casual palm. Oh, damn it. How dare you? At this moment, the saints and primeval saints also charged over. They brought the 10,000 dragons portrait and descended. Great, we're saved. We have the 10,000 dragons portrait, we can definitely kill him. The dragons in the nest of 10,000 dragons exclaimed. The dragon crown prince also snorted coldly. No matter who you are, you will definitely die today. Men use the 10,000 dragons portrait and kill him. Boom. The 10,000 dragons portrait revived and charged toward Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian had a peak greater mastery divine body, comparable to a great emperor. How powerful was he? The 9 Yang divine sword directly blasted the 10,000 dragons portrait away. Boom. Boom. The 10,000 dragons portrait flew into the outer realm, and the people in the nest of 10,000 dragons were all dumbfounded. Who was this person? He caught an emperor weapon with his bare hands and sent the 10,000 dragons portrait flying? Was the other party really a great emperor revived? Because only the great emperors of the ancient times could do this. He had a greater mastery divine body, he had a greater mastery 9 Yang divine body. Chapter 2891. If you dare to touch our dragon prince, we swear that even if we have to leave our last drop of blood, we will destroy the human race. Many of the ancient saints roared crazily. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He swept out a few fingers and the bodies of those saints exploded, turning into a bloody mist. This scene made everyone tremble in fear. Their faces were filled with despair. Heavens, it was too terrifying. The saints in their eyes were like ants in front of the other party. They were killed at will. Lin Xian's gaze was fixed on the little golden dragon amidst the dragon energy. In the next moment he was extremely shocked. The dragon blood in the other party's body was too powerful. Was this the son of a great emperor? He was indeed too strong. Just this bloodline alone, even if the other party didn't cultivate, he could grow to an unimaginable level. The little golden dragon, the dragon prince, was enveloped by Lin Xian's gaze. His body instantly tensed up. He let out an unwilling roar, wanting to resist. However, although he was the dragon prince, the son of the dragon emperor, but facing a peak great success divine body, it was still not enough. Therefore his roar was completely useless. Not only that, a crack even appeared on his body. No, damn it, stop. You can't do this. The saints of the nest of 10,000 dragons screamed crazily. The others also had looks of despair on their faces. That was their dragon prince. Sure enough, the dragon prince roared as drops of golden dragon blood rolled down his body. His face was filled with anger and unwillingness. But the other party was too powerful. He was so powerful that even if they used extreme weapons, they might not be able to defeat him. Lin Xian sneered. What? Was this feeling very hopeless? When you launched the dark chaos and targeted the human race, did you ever think that the human race was also in despair? At that time the human race also pleaded for mercy, but what did you do? Do you want me to remind you? Lin Xian's cold voice resounded through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. At this moment, all the dragons in the nest of 10,000 dragons trembled. The saints of the nest of 10,000 dragons screamed crazily. We were wrong. We apologize. Please show mercy. They could only lower their heads in front of the other party. This scene was observed by countless experts with their souls. They were extremely shocked and their scalps went numb. The nest of 10,000 dragons and the far ancient royal family actually admitted defeat. This was simply too shocking. Especially on the side of the human race, they were extremely excited. This was great as expected. A peak great success divine body intimidated the nest of 10,000 dragons. The other ancient race experts also sucked in a breath of cold air. Even the nest of 10,000 dragons had submitted, so how could they resist? Why don't we quickly use the 3 monarch weapons to kill this kid? One of the Fire Cheeling Cave's patriarchs quickly spoke. That was because he was extremely unwilling. However, the other members of the ancient theocrats all shook their heads. Forget it. If he managed to escape, what awaited him would be a crazy revenge. Our master, the princes and princesses would most likely be killed with a single glance. They didn't dare to take the risk. The saint of the nest of 10,000 dragons apologized and then said, "Don't worry, we definitely won't cause any more chaos. We will not ask for too much. We will live in peace with the human race." Is that so? But I don't really believe your words. Lin Xian coldly snorted. We are willing to swear that these ancient saints screamed crazily. All right, swear on your dragon prince's life that there will be no more chaos. Otherwise your dragon prince will definitely be destroyed in body and soul. As soon as these words were spoken, the hearts of all the dragons used in the suppression of 10,000 dragons palpitated wildly. This was a vicious oath. Once they swore it, if they really went back on their word, their dragon prince would have to take this oath in the future. But now, if they didn't swear, the other party might directly kill their dragon prince. Therefore they gritted their teeth and said, "All right, we swear." The primeval saints quickly swore oaths. Remember what you said. You are not allowed to attack the human race. Lin Xian turned around and left. Countless Tao runes interweaved under his feet, carrying him as if the celestial the arch was traveling into the distance. The saints of the nest of 10,000 dragons all fell to the ground, panting heavily. The dragons of the nest of 10,000 dragons also survived the calamity. The dragon prince was so angry that he went crazy. Damn it, he really deserved to die. He was the son of the dragon emperor, high and mighty. In the future he would definitely become the new dragon emperor and rule over the 9 heavens and 10 lands. But now he was actually being threatened by someone. Moreover, he couldn't fight back. This was unbearable. Damn it, who is he? Who is he? I must kill him. Lin Xian ignored this roar. He intimidated the nest of 10,000 dragons and then flew to his next target. His time was limited and he didn't want to start a war directly. After all, if they fought, the human race wouldn't have any advantage. What he needed to do now was to intimidate these 10,000 ancient races so that they wouldn't dare to attack the human race casually. His second target was naturally the Divine Phoenix Ridge and the Phoenix race. When Lin Xian arrived, countless cracks appeared on the Divine Phoenix Ridge. It couldn't withstand this terrifying energy at all. We admit defeat, we admit our mistakes. The Divine Phoenix Ridge was very straightforward and directly came out. Several saints swore on the spot and paid a large number of ancient treasures. They had no choice. They had all seen what happened in the nest of 10,000 dragons. They didn't want to experience the same thing again. Next, Lin Xian continued to head to the Fire Qilin Cave. The Fire Qilin Cave also lowered its head and admitted its mistakes. There was nothing they could do. Even the nest of 10,000 dragons and the Divine Phoenix Ridge had admitted their mistakes. What was the use of persisting? In addition to the 3 royal families, Lin Xian looked at 2 other mysterious places. 2 extreme weapons had once appeared in these 2 places. Clearly they were also 2 royal families. However, the other party was more mysterious. But Lin Xian still looked over. The 2 mysterious royal families also swore a poison oath not to start a dark rebellion. Next, Lin Xian swept his gaze over the ancient royal families. These primordial royal clans were much worse than the imperials. Therefore they didn't dare to resist at all. Lin Xian's speed was extremely fast. In just 2 steps he could go from one ancient race to another. In an instant, the 10,000 ancient races all received warnings and threats. Facing Lin Xian, they trembled and didn't dare to make a move. Very good, now it was time to sign the immemorial Treaty of Alliance. Lin Xian waved his hand and countless golden laws interweaved in the sky, forming a golden scroll. On the human side, Xia Juyo, Wine Lord, Demon Lord, and the saints of the sacred grounds and great sects all soared into the sky. The saints of the 10,000 ancient races also arrived. They discussed with each other and finally signed the immemorial Treaty of Alliance. The human race and the 10,000 ancient races coexisted peacefully in this world. To be honest, the 10,000 ancient races were very unwilling to accept such a treaty. However, Lin Xian was still eyeing them covetously from the side, so they could only pinch their noses and sign. Seeing that they had signed the immemorial Treaty of Alliance, Lin Xian nodded in satisfaction. Chapter 2892. Next, Lin Xian proposed another condition, which was to protect the younger generation of the human race. This was both to protect the human race's prodigies and also to pave a way out for himself. After all, he had been too conspicuous in quelling the dark chaos this time. First, he had displayed the 9 Yang divine body and the great dragon sword soul. Finally, he had used the stance to defeat countless experts. If he left the greater success divine body, he would attract endless revenge. Therefore he had to make them sign an agreement that they could not attack him. The saints of the 10,000 ancient races naturally understood this. However, one of the saints of the Silver Lightning race hesitated for a moment and was killed by Lin Xian with a glance. Seeing this scene, the other saints quickly signed the agreement. This meant that saint-level existences would not move around casually, let alone attack the younger generation. The human race naturally signed the agreement as well. After all, the 10,000 ancient races were worried that their princes and princesses would be ambushed by human experts. Just like that, an extremely terrifying dark upheaval was quelled. Both sides retreated and left. The immemorial Treaty of Alliance was directly formed into a golden mountain by Lin Xian, piercing through the clouds and standing on the ground. He was not afraid that the 10,000 ancient races would go back on their word, because this covenant was very strange. It was passed down from the immemorial era. Once violated, one would be punished by the heavens. After quelling the dark chaos, the 9 Yang Sword Saint's soul also heaved a sigh of relief. He was now very weak. Senior, don't worry, I'll go to Black Demon Cliff now. Lin Xian tore through the void and returned to Black Demon Cliff. Black Demon Cliff was still a terrifying forbidden land. Although the greater success divine body had been dug out, just the demonic chi here alone was not a place that anyone could enter. However, the demonic chi had no effect on Lin Xian. His body shone brightly as the runes under his feet danced and tore the demonic chi apart. He instantly arrived at the depths of Black Demon Cliff. No matter how peerless and talented you are, if you don't become an immortal, you will eventually become a pile of dirt. The 9 Yang Sword Saint's soul finally sighed and looked at Lin Xian. Young man, move forward on the path to becoming a great emperor. Open the immortal gate and become an immortal above the great emperor. That is the way to eternity. His soul slowly dissipated, and his voice reverberated between heaven and earth. Lin Xian's body left the great success divine body. Tears welled up in his eyes as he watched this scene. Senior, have a safe journey. Senior, don't worry, I will definitely bring glory to the 9 Yang divine body and live up to your reputation. The divine body once again turned into a golden skeleton and entered the depths of the Black Demon Cliff. Lin Xian was wrapped in a golden light and left Black Demon Cliff. "Oh Master, you're here." Outside Black Demon Cliff, the Saint of Immortal Palace was waiting. When Lin Xian came out, they directly opened the Jade Door and returned to Immortal Palace. After returning to Immortal Palace, Lin Xian also let out a sigh of relief. Everything that had happened before was like a dream. He had actually quelled the Dark Rebellion. It was truly inconceivable. A cold light erupted from his eyes. Although he had stopped the chaos in the darkness, the 10,000 ancient races absolutely wouldn't give up so easily. Next, there would probably be another fierce battle. Of course, the main force of this battle would be the younger generation. According to the information they had received, there was a reason why the 10,000 ancient races had revived at this time. It was because they had deduced that the legendary Immortal Gate would open in this era. In other words, in this era, there would be a great emperor who could successfully open the Immortal Gate and become the legendary immortal. And to become an immortal, one had to first become a great emperor. However, becoming a great emperor was simply too difficult. Countless geniuses would embark on the path of becoming a great emperor, but in the end, only one person could reach the peak. And in this era, the difficulty would increase by 100 times. This was because in the past, it was only an internal competition of the human race. But in this era, the 10,000 ancient races had revived. In addition to the geniuses of the other sacred grounds, the geniuses of the human race would also have to face the peerless geniuses of the 10,000 ancient races. They would also have to face the princes and princesses. It was too difficult. It was simply too difficult. The path of becoming a great emperor this time would probably surpass the past. It was something that no one could predict. Lin Xian also clenched his fists, his gaze resolute. He would definitely walk the path of becoming a great emperor. So what if the geniuses of the 10,000 ancient races appeared? So what if the princes and princesses appeared? He had to defeat all the strong opponents and successfully reach the peak. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian began to cultivate in seclusion. First, he restored his body to its peak state. Then Lin Xian began to cultivate the 9 Yang divine body. This time, after entering the greater success divine body, Lin Xian knew what the final state of the 9 Yang divine body was like. This was very clear about the path he wanted to take in the future. Therefore, this cultivation was twice the result with half the effort. Not long after, his 9 Yang divine body broke through and reached the 3rd level. Reaching the 3rd level, his strength would undergo an earth-shattering change. His 9 Yang divine body could be considered to have entered the small success stage. Not only that, this time, Lin Xian obtained the cultivation method of the last 6 levels of the 9 Yang divine body. At the same time, he also obtained the cultivation method of the 9 Yang sword technique. It could be said that he was now the true successor of the 9 Yang divine body. Of course, at the same time, he was also the successor of the Great Dragon. He was looking forward to the fusion of the Great Dragon sword spirit and the 9 Yang sword technique. Lin Xian still remembered the power of the fusion. It was too terrifying, too terrifying. Next, Lin Xian began to comprehend the 9 Yang sword technique. The 9 Yang sword technique was divided into 9 levels. Lin Xian began to comprehend the first level. This meditation lasted for a year. A year later, he opened his eyes and came out of seclusion. He had already mastered the first level of the 9 Yang sword technique. He felt that he had encountered some bottlenecks and needed to come out to train. How was the situation outside? Lin Xian asked. That day, after the dark turmoil subsided, his father, Wine Lord, Xia Jiuyo, and the others left together. Lin Xian did not have time to meet with them. However, before leaving, Lin Xian also said that he wanted Lin Xian to break through to the Sage Realm as soon as possible. In the future, they would have plenty of opportunities to fight side by side. Lin Xian was filled with anticipation. The opportunity to fight side by side. Could it be that there would be even more terrifying things in the future? He did not know. However, he knew that increasing his strength was the only way. Palace Master, this is the main thing that happened in the past year. The Immortal Palace Elder brought over some scrolls. These were all information from a year ago. Lin Xian scanned it with his soul spirit and nodded slightly. Just as he thought, after the dark turmoil subsided, the geniuses of the 10,000 ancient races came out one after another. Because he had suppressed the 10,000 ancient races, the territories of the 10,000 ancient races were not too big. Therefore, the geniuses of the 10,000 ancient races often appeared in the various cities of the human race. At first, the human race was extremely shocked and could not adapt to it. However, after a year, they gradually accepted the existence of a few long monster heads on the side of the road from time to time. Although the 10,000 ancient races were unruly and fierce, they had signed the archaic Treaty of Alliance. Therefore, they would not casually attack the human race. For a time, both sides were safe and sound. However, the clashes between the top geniuses became more and more intense. Chapter 2893. The world changed once again. Because Lin Xian had come out. Lin Xian, such a resounding name. It could be said that everyone in the quintessential world knew of him. From martial artists to sages, although they might not have seen Lin Xian before, they all knew of this name. Because they knew that it was Lin Xian who had quelled the Darkness Rebellion. The 10,000 ancient races gritted their teeth in anger. Their sages were not allowed to attack, but those below the sages snorted coldly. Especially those prodigies. They all said that Lin Xian was the protector of the human race who had quelled the Darkness Rebellion, and that he had only borrowed the power of a greater mastery divine body. That's right. How could he be compared to the sages with his own power? Not to mention the sages, he couldn't even beat them. Many powerful prodigies said that they would kill Lin Xian with their own hands. Because they now knew that Lin Xian had only been able to display such power because he had obtained the corpse of a greater mastery divine body. Without the greater mastery divine body, there was no need for them to fear Lin Xian. Water Moon City. It was a very famous giant city in the middle ground. It was vast and boundless like a small pot. At this moment, in addition to countless human martial artists, there were also many ancient creatures in the city. These 10,000 ancient races also walked or lived in Water Moon City. After more than a year, the martial artists in Water Moon City had already gotten used to it. But today they were shocked again because these ancient creatures in Water Moon City were very excited. They were greeted by a few terrifying figures. One of them emitted a platinum light, and with every step he took, the entire city shook. This was a prodigy of the Silver race. Young Master, you're here. Countless primordial life forms of the Silver clan surrounded that prodigy. A green-faced man with fangs walked in, looking like a devil that had crawled out of hell. He was a prodigy of the Green Ghost race. There was another who was even more terrifying. His body emitted a golden light, and he had a pair of golden wings on his back. He was like an angel descending from the sky. This was a prodigy of the Sky Rock race. This time they weren't ordinary geniuses. They were all core geniuses. Some of them were even young lords of their respective clans. After all, Lin Xian wasn't weak. He was one of the top prodigies of the human race. The 10,000 ancient races naturally had to send out their top prodigies to fight him. Other than that, there was also the young Yuxia king, a prodigy of the Yuxia clan. The prodigy of the Black Tiger clan. In fact, a few young dragons walked out of the nest of 10,000 dragons. The dragon blood on their bodies surged. The dragon patterns on their bodies were abnormally powerful. As soon as they appeared, those archaic creatures all bowed respectfully. It couldn't be helped. Dragons were the most sacred existences in their eyes. Although it wasn't the Dragon Crown Prince who had come this time, they were still top geniuses among the dragon race. They had gathered in Shuiwe City to discuss how to kill Lin Xian. Of course, they would not launch a sneak attack. They would kill him openly in front of the whole world. Damn it. These primeval life forms are truly too arrogant. How long has it been? It's only been a year. Have they already forgotten the pain from before? There were also some human cultivators who snorted coldly. Among them, there were quite a number of Lin Xian's followers. That's right. How could they be a match for great god Lin Xian? Even their patriarch wasn't a match for great god Lin Xian, let alone them. A series of discussions could be heard. After those prodigies heard it, their faces turned gloomy. The primeval life forms beside them sneered. Foolish humans, what do you know? That brat was arrogant before because he relied on the corpse of a greater success stage divine body. Without the corpse of a greater success stage divine body, how could he be a match for our patriarch? That's right. Our patriarch can kill him with a single glance. Not to mention our patriarch, he can't even defeat our young lord. Just you wait. Today we will let you see the strength of our young lord. These primeval life forms gritted their teeth in anger. Indeed, the dark turmoil a year ago was their greatest humiliation. Therefore, today they would use the blood of the other party to wash away this humiliation. Among them, the young lord of the Bayin clan even snorted coldly. If he dares to come, I will take his head with my hand. This person was very powerful. As he spoke, the entire void trembled. It couldn't be helped. The Bayin clan one was known as the uncrowned king. His strength was truly terrifying. As expected, his voice shook the surrounding human cultivators, causing their blood to boil. They kept retreating with trembling faces. Too powerful. Although these primeval life forms were arrogant, their strength was really too strong. Most likely, not many people here would be able to contend against him. Take off my head with one hand? Is that so? You're very arrogant. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. Following that, a figure descended from the sky. Everyone looked up. Those primeval life forms rarely appeared in the void. It's you? Lin Xian, great god Lin Xian is here. The human cultivators also screamed. As expected, the person who descended from the sky was none other than Lin Xian. He was dressed in a black robe that carried an indescribable weight. His eyes were like stars that had been extinguished. In an instant he arrived at Watermoon City. He arrived in front of these primeval life forms. Whoosh! The dark red divine dragon also came out. He looked at the other party with a face full of excitement. Great, there was primeval blood to drink. He stared at the primeval life forms and grinned. Damn it, you're courting death. These primeval life forms were so angry that they vomited blood. The other party actually dared to have designs on them and treat them as prey. How could they tolerate this? Kid, you're too arrogant. Now that you don't have the corpse of a phenomenal success divine body to rely on, you don't have the right to be arrogant in front of us. The prodigies of the dragon tribe stepped forward. Their expressions were cold and their eyes were filled with killing intent. That day the other party used a phenomenal success divine body to suppress their nest of 10,000 dragons. This made everyone know, and it also made them lose face. Therefore today they must wash away their shame with blood. The other primeval life forms also snorted coldly and surrounded Lin Xian. Lin Xian sneered. I was wondering who it was. You want to challenge me? So it's you losers. His disdainful voice sounded. Even your saints and patriarchs are no match for me. How dare you ants be arrogant in front of me? Hurry up and get lost. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't kill you. You're courting death. The primeval life forms of the nest of 10,000 dragons were furious. The God Empress and the other primeval life forms were also furious. The other party's indifferent attitude made their lungs about to explode. Damn it, I want to see what right you have to be arrogant today. The two dragons stood out. On the other side, the Silver race, Blue Ghoul race and Yiksha race all came out and surrounded Lin Xian. Chapter 2894. Terrifying phantoms surrounded them. Each of them emitted a powerful aura, suppressing the humans until their faces turned pale. Even the invincible king swallowed his saliva, unable to resist at all. So powerful, too powerful. These primordial geniuses were too terrifying. They could already kill invincible kings. Indeed, the older generation of the human race sighed. They had to admit that their bloodlines were heaven-defying and their strength was terrifying. I'm afraid there aren't many in the younger generation of the human race who can compete with them. These human powerhouses trembled in fear, but Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. He looked at the primordial geniuses in front of him calmly. You want to challenge me? Fine, I'll give you a chance. But think carefully. The outcome of challenging me is death. As he finished speaking, a biting cold aura erupted from his body and shot into the clouds. Do you think you can kill us? Without a greater success divine body, you're nothing. One of the dragons stood out. He had a ferocious dragon head and his body was covered in scales. Behind him, there was a huge tail that was incomparably ferocious. I can kill you in 3 moves. This dragon's prodigy was incomparably domineering. Watch carefully. My first move is to die. The dragon's prodigy roared as the blood in his body rumbled. Dragon blood surged. Streams of dragon blood appeared and formed swords of killing intent. Together with the fists of the dragon race prodigy, the swords of killing intent continued to smash forward. So terrifying. Each killing sword could easily kill an invincible king. The dragon's prodigy was too terrifying. Heavens, his cultivation realm is only that of a peerless almighty, but he can actually release such terrifying combat strength. The human cultivators were terrified. The 10,000 ancient races sneered. As expected of the dragon's prodigy. He was indeed powerful. That brat was definitely dead. This time, there was at least 29,000 points of ancient power. Die, brat. The dragon's prodigy revealed a sinister smile as his cold eyes emitted a terrifying killing intent. He realized that he had overestimated his opponent. Perhaps this attack could kill him. Whoosh. In the face of such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian didn't move at all. He only attacked when the other party was 10 meters away from him. He was very fast. In an instant, he retracted his palm and stood with his hands behind his back. So much so that no one could see clearly how he had made his move. Boom. Boom. In the sky, the killing swords formed from dragon blood exploded, turning into a rain of blood that scattered in the sky. The dragon's prodigy's body split into two from the middle. With a thud, he fell to the ground. What? Everyone's expressions stiffened in disbelief. He was dead. An incomparably terrifying genius of the dragon race, an attack that could easily pierce through an invincible king, had been neutralized just like that? Moreover, even the prodigy's prodigy. How was this possible? Damn it, did Lin to the prodigy too? It was too fast. He didn't see clearly what kind of divine ability he had used. He didn't know. It seemed like a casual attack, but these people went crazy. The human experts widened their eyes in disbelief. The primordial creatures were even more shocked. Especially the primordial prodigies, they looked as if they had seen a ghost. That was a prodigy of the dragons. He was so powerful that even the older primordial kings might not be his match. However, he was killed in a single move. What was going on? Damn it, what trick did this brat play? Sneak attack, he must have sneak attacked. Damn it, he couldn't have used a sacred weapon, right? These people's faces were also full of shock, because they also didn't see clearly what had happened. Lin Xian stood with his hands crossed. He looked at the corpse of the dragon's prodigy below with a cold smile. Then he looked up and swept his gaze forward. Who else wants to challenge me? Hurry up and come. Everyone fell silent when he said that. No one from the 10,000 Archean races made a sound. No one stepped forward. Many primordial creatures retreated. They had no choice, the other party was too powerful. They originally thought that the other party was an ant without a greater success divine body that they could easily kill. But now it seemed that they were wrong. Even if the other party didn't have a greater success divine body to rely on, his true strength was still very terrifying. Damn it, I don't believe it. He can't be so strong. He must have used some kind of forbidden technique. A prodigy of the Wuxia race snorted. I'll kill you. The moment he came up, he unleashed his fiendish night realm and enveloped the entire space. No matter how strong the other party's attack was, he would first use his strongest defense. Then he waved the long spear in his hand and thrust it out. Die, brat. The power of the spear was terrifying. It wasn't any weaker than the previous prodigy of the dragon's prodigy. The Wuxia race was also a very terrifying race. They were extremely cruel and violent, and they were very powerful. Seeing this scene, the human warriors held their breaths again. Meanwhile, the primordial prodigies all widened their eyes and stared at Lin Xian. They wanted to see clearly what kind of ultimate move the other party was using. In the next moment, Lin Xian attacked. When the Wuxia prodigy arrived, he threw out a punch. This punch was extremely violent. It was like the fist of the god of war. It engulfed the sky and swept up the divine flames. Boom. One punch was enough to shatter heaven and earth. The Wuxia's fiendish night realm suddenly shattered. The divine spear was blasted into pieces, and so was the body of the Wuxia prodigy. Dead again. Another primordial prodigy was killed in one move. This scene left everyone dumbfounded. The primordial prodigies were the same. They saw clearly that the other party didn't use a forbidden weapon, nor was it a weapon of a sage. Instead, he threw out a punch. Damn it, when did this brat's 9-yang divine body become so powerful? Damn it, don't tell me he still has a greater success divine body? The primordial prodigies were going crazy. They quickly retreated and put a safe distance between them. There was no choice. It was too suspicious. 1 pound. The dark red divine dragon sneered. A bunch of idiots. If he really has a greater success divine body, do you think you can survive? You probably can't even withstand a glance from him. As he said that, he put away the bodies of the dragons and Wuxia prodigies. He could make a good tonic soup later. As soon as he said that, the human warriors' mouths twitched. The primordial prodigies were so angry that they vomited blood. What? Is he really going to eat us? Damn it, he's treating us as food. This was intolerable. This brat is too strange. Let's hurry back and find out more about him first. The primordial beasts were unwilling to stay any longer. They decided to leave first. Because the other party was too terrifying. They turned around, but a voice was heard. Wait, did I say you can leave? As soon as the voice was heard, the primordial prodigies froze. Then they turned around and roared angrily. Damn brat, how dare you stop us? Chapter 2895. Do you want to die? Who do you think you are? Do you really think you can fight against all of us? At most we'll attack together. Can you fight against us? The archaic sky prides roared crazily. The other party had killed 2 of their companions on the spot. Not only that, he even wanted to stop them. The other party was too arrogant. Lin Xian sneered. You guys are so arrogant. Didn't you think that you went overboard when you wanted to kill me? What's wrong now? Can't take it anymore? I'm just using the same method to return the favor to you. Lin Xian walked forward and stared at the sky pride from the Silver Clan. You were the one who said you could take my head with one hand, right? All right, I'll stand here and wait for you. Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Damn it. The sky pride from the Silver Clan changed his expression. Lin Xian was targeting him. This was not a good thing. Previously, he had said confidently that the other party was an ant that he could kill with one hand. However, after watching the previous 2 battles, he changed his mind. The other party was strong and definitely not weaker than him. Even if he went all out, he was not confident that he could kill the other party. Therefore, what he said about taking the other party's head with one hand didn't count at all. Seeing that the other party didn't speak, Lin Xian sneered. What? You don't dare? I heard that the Silver Clan is called the Uncrowned King. Is that all you have? Well, that's right. Your ancestor was killed by a human with one punch. I guess a junior like you can't do much. Get lost. Su Qin waved his hand impatiently. Kid, you're courting death. The Sky Pride from the Silver Clan was enraged when he heard that. Let's fight then. I'm not afraid of you. The Sky Pride stood out. Silver light bloomed on his body, turning into a terrifying mountain that pressed down on the void. Although the other party was strong, he was very confident in himself. The Silver Clan had a strong physique and terrifying bloodline power. So what if the other party had the 9 Yang divine body? He didn't think that his physique would lose to the other party. Kid, I'll let you know that the Silver Clan is not to be trifled with. The Sky Pride of the Silver Race said coldly. Lin Xian waved his hand and stretched out one of his hands while the other remained behind his back. How about this? I'll give you a handicap of one hand. One hand, I'll take off your head. The other party had said this before, but Lin Xian was going to do it. He wanted to use his most powerful stance to suppress his opponent. The genius of the Silver Tribe was so angry that he was trembling. How dare the other party look down on him? With a furious roar, his body shone with boundless light. Brat, today is the day you die. With a sway of his body, he tore through the void and charged over. In an instant he rushed in front of Lin Xian. He stretched out his palm and slammed it down, causing the void to collapse. The silver light on his body soared into the clouds, forming a silver storm that danced in the sky. The experts of the human race were breathing heavily. They were pressed to the ground, unable to resist. It was too terrifying. This palm strike truly had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. Was this the Bayin clan? He was too powerful. As expected of the uncrowned king. Even those ancient life forms were trembling in fear. Looking at the palm strike, their faces were full of fear. That brat was dead meat. He had definitely underestimated the Bayin clan. The title of uncrowned king was not for nothing. Gee, the archaic Sky Pride snorted coldly. The people of the human race also felt their scalps go numb. Su Qin narrowed his eyes. To be honest, the other party was very powerful. He had surpassed the Sky Prides of the human race. There were probably not many among the younger generation of the human race who could compete with him. The title of uncrowned king was indeed well deserved. However, it was a pity that the other party had encountered him. In the next moment he stretched out his palm and grabbed in front of him. With a grab, he directly pierced through the silver light that filled the sky. On his palm, there was the 9 suns' divine fire and golden runes flickering. It was as if the palm of the golden god of war was grabbing in the air. Boom, boom. The silver light was broken and the terrifying power was shattered. The golden palm directly grabbed the head of the Bain clan. With a crack, the other party's neck was broken. Poof. Silver blood splattered, and the head of the Bain clan prodigy was forcefully torn off. Ah! The Bain clan prodigy roared crazily as blood flowed continuously. His body did not have a head, but he still charged towards Lin Xian. However, he was sent flying by Lin Xian's kick, directly disappearing into the clouds. His head was lifted into the air by Lin Xian, and he let out a miserable cry. "Damn brat, I'm going to kill you." The head of the Bain clan prodigy opened his mouth and spat out a silver stream. It was like a silver sword that flew directly towards Lin Xian's head. He wanted to cut off Lin Xian's head too. With a clang, 2 balls of golden light burst out from Lin Xian's eyes and directly sent the silver flying sword flying. In the next moment, he exerted force in his palm, and the other party's head was covered in cracks. He was on the verge of death, as if he would split open at any time. Looking at this scene, everyone was stunned. Their faces were filled with fear. In one move, the other party had removed the head of the Bain clan prodigy. Heavens! They originally thought that Lin Xian was just saying that to suppress the other party's arrogance. However, they did not expect that the other party was not just saying that. The other party had used actual actions to prove his words. He had removed the other party's head with one hand. Impossible. Damn it, this is absolutely impossible. How could this brat be so powerful? The other prodigies of the 10,000 Archean races were terrified, as if they had seen a ghost. The Archean creatures knelt on the ground, trembling. The experts of the human race were also stunned. Was this the strength of the human race's top prodigy? He was too powerful, far surpassing the other Archean prodigies. The Bain clan prodigy screamed crazily as his head was lifted into the air. Damn it, I don't believe it. He was really crazy. He was so powerful that he had reached 30,000 Archean power. Among the younger generation of the Archean era, he was an extremely terrifying existence. One had to know that an ordinary holy son only had 18,000 to 18,000 Archean power. Even the top holy princes only had over 20,000 Archean powers. But he had 30,000 Archean power. He had far surpassed the human race's prodigies. Therefore, he did not take any human prodigies seriously. But now the other party had removed his head in one move. This made him unable to believe it. Could it be that the other party's strength had exceeded 30,000 Archean power? Moreover, it should be far beyond his. How could there be such a terrifying existence among the younger generation of the human race? Lin Xian sneered. Now, do you still dare to challenge me? Damn brat, I was too careless. Let go of me and we will fight to the death again. I will definitely not lose to you. The Bain clan prodigy roared crazily. He could not accept this fact. Lin Xian sneered. Let you go? You are too naive. I said that you can fight me, but the price is death. Chapter 2896. You want to kill me? The Sky Pride of the Silver Tribe screamed in horror. You can't kill me. I'm from the Silver Tribe. We're the uncrowned kings. If you kill me, the Silver Tribe won't let me off. Lin Xian sneered. This kind of threat doesn't affect me. You'd better come up with some other reason. Otherwise, I won't let you off. You're courting death. At this moment, there was a roar. In the distance, the headless corpse charged over again. 2 silver spears appeared in his hands and pierced through the void. They turned into silver dragons and descended from the sky, trying to save the head. This was an all-out attack. He had even used the power of his bloodline. However, it was shattered by Lin Xian's punch. The 9 suns' divine fist directly smashed the headless corpse into pieces. What other tricks do you have? Use them now. Otherwise you won't have a chance. Lin Xian said indifferently. The divine fire on his body spread, and his palm was covered with a terrifying divine light. It was like a sun. No. Damn it. The Sky Pride of the Silver Tribe was in despair. He didn't have any trump cards to use now. Even if he used them, he probably wouldn't be able to hurt Lin Xian. That was because Lin Xian didn't use any superpower pills. He was beaten to the point where he couldn't fight back with just his physical strength. Just as he was about to be engulfed by the 9 suns' divine fire, a majestic voice came from the sky. Junior, let go of him or die. The voice was like thunder, accompanied by thousands of silver lights that turned into sharp swords that descended from the sky. they shrouded Lin Xian. However, as soon as the silver lights descended, Lin Xian sneered and grabbed the Sky Pride of the Silver Tribe's Sky Pride's head, crushing it into pieces. The soul screamed and tried to escape, but Lin Xian flicked out a sword light and destroyed it. The sword light of the great dragon sword soul could destroy the void, let alone the opponent's soul. What? His soul is destroyed. The archaic Sky Pride was terrified. The archaic creatures were so scared that they pissed their pants. What kind of technique is this? He directly killed the Sky Pride of the Silver Tribe. It was too terrifying. In the sky, the expert who suddenly appeared also roared, "You're courting death." Following his fury, the silver sword light that filled the sky transformed into a terrifying rain of swords. It was like a meteor that descended from the sky. Boom, boom. The void cracked open and the entire ancient city shook. This was too terrifying. Were they going to destroy the entire city? The martial artists inside were terrified. It had been more than a year since something like this had happened. Who would have thought that after Lin Xian came out, such a shocking battle would occur again? If the city was destroyed, all of them would be killed. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He did not dodge because if he did, the city would be affected. Therefore he waved his fist and charged forward. Boom. The Nine Suns' divine fist was unleashed with an imposing aura. It was as if thousands of suns were soaring into the sky. It collided with the silver light that filled the sky, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to split. The void turned into nothingness, spreading in all directions. Those who were slightly weaker directly fainted from the shock. Those who were stronger also felt their chi and blood churn. Fortunately, the fist wasn't aimed at them. Just the aftermath of the energy was already too much for them to handle. If they were hit by the energy, no one would be able to stop it. After the attack, the silver light that filled the sky disappeared, and the Nine Suns' divine fist also slowly dissipated in the sky. Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back. His eyes turned into sharp swords that pierced through the void. "Who's that? How dare you attack me?" He frowned. The other party was very powerful, surpassing the Sky Pride of the Silver Tribe. Could it be that an even more terrifying archaic Sky Pride has descended? He frowned. The others also looked at the sky. In the next moment they were extremely shocked. An archaic king. That's right. In the sky, the clouds churned and a figure appeared. It was a silver-white god of war. He was tall and held a silver scythe in his hand. He looked like a god-fiend with a murderous aura. He quickly descended. "Damn brat, how dare you kill the Sky Pride of the Silver Tribe? I want you dead." He was an archaic king of the Silver Tribe. At this moment he was emitting a murderous aura. The human powerhouses were filled with fear. Heavens, it's the archaic king of the Silver Tribe. He's a true invincible king. His strength is absolutely heaven-defying. Lin Xian is probably in danger. Isn't there the archaic Treaty of Alliance? Archaic powerhouses are not allowed to attack? The human cultivators exclaimed. They were worried for Lin Xian. On the opposite side, a Sky Pride of the Blue Ghoul race sneered. "Idiot, the archaic Treaty of Alliance states that saints are not allowed to attack." However, an archaic king was in existence below the saints. Naturally, he could attack. If there's someone to blame, blame that brat for being too idiotic. He actually dared to kill a Sky Pride of the Silver Tribe. In their opinion, Lin Xian was dead meat. Although the other party was a Sky Pride of the younger generation, how could he defeat a true archaic king? Seeing that it was the other party's archaic king, Lin Xian also sneered with a trace of disdain in his eyes. "Who did I think it was? So it's an archaic king. Hurry up and get lost. I've killed at least 800 people like you." Indeed, when he had fused with the greater success divine body, he could turn countless archaic kings into blood mist with a single glance. Therefore what he said was true. However, the other party's archaic king was so angry that he vomited blood. His expression was cold. "Brat, you're too arrogant. Do you think that you still have a greater success divine body? I admit that you were very powerful during the darkness turmoil. You could kill everything with a single glance. But now you're just an ordinary member of the younger generation. Without a greater success divine body, killing you is like slaughtering a dog. You still want to kill me? Do you have the ability?" Lin Xian shouted coldly and took a step forward. His 9-yang divine body emitted light. The divine fire transformed into fire dragons that intertwined on his body. Not only that, but there were also dragon roars and sword cries in his body. Terrifying sword energy pierced through the clouds. Powerful strength was displayed. How terrifying. Lin Xian actually had such terrifying strength. Everyone was terrified. They discovered that the power Lin Xian displayed now was much stronger than before. In other words, the other party didn't use his full strength at all. Heavens, he didn't use his full strength, but he was able to kill the Silver Clan's prodigy in one move. If he used his full strength, how terrifying would it be? Could it be that he can really contend against an archaic king? They didn't dare to imagine. In the sky, the Silver Clan's archaic king also frowned. He had to admit that the other party was very powerful. His aura was beyond his expectations. No wonder he could kill the Silver Clan's prodigy. But so what? No matter how strong the other party was, he was no match for him. He definitely had to kill the other party. Therefore, in the next moment he snorted coldly. Murderous intent surged from his body, turning into a killing god domain that suppressed downward. "I'm not afraid of you," Lin Xian shouted coldly. Endless flames condensed, forming a flame sword that he held in his hand. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.